Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel. As you enter the room, please hit the like button. And as you can see the title, Ghana and liars are on some bullshit. And we will talk about it after the 30. Okay, and we're back. Welcome everybody that's in the chat. My sister, I'm waiting for my sister to come into the room. My brother Michael, I love you, brother. And yeah, hi Bullets, hi Gotti, how are you? Okay, so let me bring my sister up, and we're gonna get into this bullshit. She's gonna take over the stream, and we're gonna talk about it. And I'm gonna come in when needs to be to come in. So here we go.
Yay, it worked.
Yes, it did. Hey, sister.
Hey, I really appreciate you having me on. Just like I got so much support from Knowledge Uprising, a brother that I didn't know from Adam like 4 years and a half ago. He seen one of my videos and he said randomly, you know how you get notifications of different things, and he seen me and he checked one of my videos out and he was like, wow, she's different. She's deep. Let me see if she'll interview with me. And so he dropped a comment in my comment thing and asked me if I would wanted to be interviewed. I didn't know if he was a troll or what, but I was like, yeah. And of course it was real. It was the first real connection that I had with one of the brothers of YouTube. And ironically, it was one of those times where I was having like health issues and I was going through a lot of stuff, but I was trying to stay positive because I survived a lot of things, medicine, devastating stuff and all that kind of stuff. But I persevered, and I wanted to be a lightning rod of truth, because with me coming to YouTube in 2018, I broke my ankle as I tell this story, and I was in the bed for 4 freaking long months. I mean, I'm always having issues. Something, if it ain't one thing, it's another. But through that experience, I was like, man, I'm tired of TV. I'm tired of movies. How many movies can you watch? How many songs can you hear? How much food can you eat? So I started surfing around on YouTube, playing like little word games and this and that and the other. And then somehow I found YouTube. I didn't even know what YouTube was. I kind of like clicked it and I started seeing all this stuff pop up. And I was like, what is this? What is this? What is this? So I began my journey and just researching what Black folks was talking about initially. And I stood in my square just listening. I did not participate the first 6 months because I didn't know nobody. So I started listening to what were the common themes of what people were talking about. And I was like, man, it's the same rotation of a conversation. It doesn't really deviate from all the things that's going on in the world. This is kind of odd, because when you go to like white channels and other nationality, they're talking about what's affecting them personally, their nation. And we're just bullshitting. I'm like, why are we just battling between women versus men, gender warring? That's how I learned what that was. I'd never heard of it before. And then I learned of pan-africanism. I was hearing this debate about who are we? And I was thinking that was really odd. I was like, what do you mean, who are we? We've always been Black Americans. Why is that now being challenged right here? So in all the spaces like Sonetta, you know, different debates like Israelites and Indians, Dan Calloway, young Pharaoh, and all these different people started coming around, and I started hearing all their views of this and that and the other. And I was just like, this is a sack of mess right here, because everybody is everywhere, but uniformly on the idea that you're just an American. And why is that? And so it came to light after the 6 months of me investigating, like I could trip and make a better channel than all these people that's been on here for years, because they're not providing any information for survival or any thinking as far as what people are doing against us. I mean, I know that people have heard of this book called the 48 hours or 48 laws of war or something to that, a power, and the art of war. And I started recognizing, I was like, man, they're using propaganda on us, like in real time. They're using us against ourselves. They're profiting off of us hating one another. And then we're looking like to the world some uncontrollable heathens online. You know what I'm saying? For the lack of a better word. And I was just like, man, this is wild because, you know, eventually it turned to COVID. Eventually, well, you know, down the road it turned to that. But before that, when I first heard of the year return, I remember I was at that time knew you. I knew you at that time. I knew everybody at Uncle Suge's channel, and it struck me the wrong way. It really tapped a nerve that I was just like, this shit seems kind of fishy to me because there ain't no long-term conversations being had among Black Americans in America about African relations or any of that. We just kind of like stand on our own. They do their thing, we do our thing. But here they are prompting us to go to Africa. And I was just like, man, this is a scheme of some sort. I don't know how far they're going to take it, but it really feels like it's going to be on some level of some deceit type of thing. And I remember that live, there was a lot of people that started barking up at me, you know, jumping on the panel, so irate and so emotional. And they were like, how dare you talk against mother, what do you call that, motherland and Africa and, you know, your ancestors and all this. I was just like, what is wrong with these idiots that are so emotional over me asking questions as pertaining to our survival and just asking questions that we need to be asking so that we don't get got. Like, why are they running up here telling me I hate Africans, I hate Africa? Have you visited Africa? I don't need to visit. Can I ask the question? What's wrong with us asking questions? Why do I have to play the role of a sheep? And that's the thing in which I really love about myself. I am not no one's bitch, hoe, sheep, none of that. What you get is what you get. That comes generally just from me. If you have influence on me, enjoy it for the time being, because it ain't gonna last forever unless you're a real one. Because I will see through it. I will sniff you out, and you will be exposed for you being fake with me, because that shit don't last very long, as you know. So while I was doing my research and everything, I decided, once I started my channel and once I stopped going over to Uncle Suge and whatnot, and other spaces that I had been going to before, I was like, let me venture to the African spots. What are they talking about? Since they're making this about us in Africa, but what are they saying about this return? And at first, you could hear most of them in unison speaking the same generalized information of, yeah, we're brothers and sisters, we're one, we need to pull money together, we need to love one another, kumbaya, my Lord, you know, and all that. And I was just like, this stuff is a little bit too scripted. It's a little bit too fake. Because I'm sure with everything that you observe, there's pros and cons to everything, right? And if you're only spinning it to make it sound like everything is wonderful, and you're not talking about nothing bad ever, meanwhile, I'm watching the news and I'm seeing all these Africans risking their lives and dying at sea to get to UK, Mexico, Brazil, America, anywhere but Africa. So this don't add up. What the hell is going on? So I began to like do my research as far as what is pan-africanism is, because I didn't even know there was a term for that, right? I heard of Marcus Garvey, but when I had heard of Marcus Garvey, I thought to myself he was an agent, without anyone even telling me this. It was just kind of like, how does a guy come from Jamaica and from London end up in America around 1900, when all the climate of that time was a lot of devastating things? That's when the Tulsa bombings had happened. That's a lot of lynchings had happened. It was a whole lot of just sick stuff happening to us at that time. And then lo and behold, Marcus Garvey comes, I'm here for you Black colored people. Let me save the day. And I was just like, where do these motherfuckers coming from out the woodworks? It didn't make sense. I didn't know at the time when I was doing my research that, well, I heard of him being outed for mail, I guess, fraud. I didn't know anything about the ship, though, that he supposedly was showcasing wasn't a real ship, or was not even a real workable ship to begin with, and that he was hustling all kinds of ways. But it all makes sense now, because just like he was the father of fraud, of pan-africanism, everywhere I have turned and looked, everybody is either scamming or they're hoping to be next to scam. They're in wait to scam. And if they're not scamming, the best that they can do is have you spend your money to go tour, while they tell you all these beautiful things of Africa while they're not living there. Like Dynasty Mir, for instance. I don't know if you know who that is, but that is Search of Uru. He's a guy that's originally from California. He lives in Atlanta right now. He's always having these tours to Nigeria, to Sierra Leone, where he is drive-buying people to Sierra Leone to get this immediate citizenship, like a drive-by. Like he has this conference thing that they do, and they sworn into like getting this so-called citizenship. All you got to do is show your DNA test. If it shows any percentage of Sierra Leone, you're, up to get citizenship. Citizen to what? To Sierra Leone? Have you looked on the ground, looked around? What the fuck's going on here? So I started recognizing it was kind of like a switcheroo game going on. It was like the immigrants, migrants, refugees are replacing us, and we're being sold Wakanda. And if you think about the word Wakanda, Wakanda, that's exactly what they're doing. So now, fast forward, when I really was starting to understand stuff, there was this lady by the name of Dr. Ericana, twisted-lipped liar,
twisted mouth,
crooked,
weavy wonder.
Yes, with the crooked,
Twisted mouth, weavy wonder.
Oh yeah, she was the ambassador to the African Union there in Washington to Africa. Like, I didn't really understand what the African Union was. It's fairly new. It hasn't been around for generations or nothing like that, but they're trying to like mimic like the European Union. You know what I'm saying? But their situation is far from that closeness and working together, because Africa is just a mess as far as, colonizers are in the head and the mind and the heart of the leaders of Africa. They're being pimped. And if they are not getting pimped, they're not going to be living long. Okay, let's just put it out there like that.
Let me ask you questions. Let me say this right quick. That word "we" and that word "unity," unify, it pretty much kills me, because we can sit here and we could talk about Africa. We need to go to Africa so we can, build structure there and live better there. And my thing is, we can't even get along here. So could you imagine if we're going to another country that we know nothing whatsoever about, and we're trying to live over there? Do you not know we will kill each other over there? Because
not only that,
with it, and we don't fit in there.
We don't fit there, and not only that, but we're outnumbered. I mean, there's 1.3 billion people there in Africa. What little, I mean, you're never going to get all of us to ever want to go there. Let's just put it out there like that. The few that will go, that will try out by these fake felonious organizations that are global, they do have money, but their job is to sell us out to go.
Right.
And if they're not able to sell us out to go, they're not going to be prosperous not a long time. They will have a set time where they'll be living off the hog, and then it's going to kind of drop and dwindle if they're not providing, what other people are doing, like Dynasty Mir and others that will trick you into making you get emotional thinking about your ancestor. And then my thing is this: I don't know an African in my bloodline, but I'm not going to say it's impossible. But I'm just saying, like, that ancestor was done dirty. And I am that ancestor that lives today. And I don't forgive and I don't forget. Nothing. I don't forgive my mama, my real biological mom. I'm not going to forget about this fictitious Wakanda City bullshit either. I don't give a damn about looking at some dusty dungeons where you smell piss and shit that was there eons ago and crying and tearing up. No, you can't get me to go there. What you would get is anger from me. I be wanting to knock somebody out. So ain't no point in me going. And like I said, as many Africans that are over here now, they could cook up jollof rice and I could eat it here. Like someone years ago made jollof rice. This African guy tried to like have sex and all that. Of course, that didn't go. But he was like, "Oh, my wife just had a baby, and our tradition said we shouldn't have sex for like 3 to 6 months. Do you mind?" I'm like, this motherfucker sitting up here at a job asking would I have sexual relationships with him. I was like, dude, don't you know I could go to human resources and have you gone? But I was like, just don't ever speak to me like that. Just drop it and we'll be good. Other than that, if you say it one more time, there's going to be extreme problems. But I woke him up because I was like, you're not in Africa, dude. Hello.
And that's
you are in America.
Thing. That's another thing too. I don't understand how people, the diaspora or whatever they are, trying to get us Americans to go to Africa, but your own people that actually was born in Africa and lived in Africa, they're over here. So I'm just trying to understand the logic behind that. And I have not gotten that understanding as yet.
And you will never, speaking of the word diaspora, I'm glad you said that, because diaspora, like I did on the video, I had to start my channel all the way over, y'all, in case y'all don't know where I've been. It got zapped because I spoke out against these lying transgendered clowns who are walking around pretending to be full-fledged women. I'm every woman, thinking that they can speak for me, thinking that they can trick men. Even Umar Johnson, who I don't like, I didn't respect that. Giselle, what's her name? Hope Giselle, tricking him the way the transgender did. I thought, if you have in your title for Fox Soul talking about you are an advocate and you are an author, it should say transgendered advocate. It should say transgendered author. Why are you hiding from what you are? You will never be a full-fledged woman if you can't have periods, cramps, have fibroid issues, have babies, have a weakness about you because you're a woman. You cannot be me. I don't care how drugs have done you, hormones, how surgery has helped you look better as a woman or closer to a woman than a man. Your genes and your mind is still what I perceive as being, you can never change it. No matter how you put on a costume, you can't change it. So me speaking out about that and showing videos of this thing that was, deliberately thirst trapping in her, it's bathroom, I got heated because I was just like, when this person said that it was advocating for women's rights, I almost lost my mind because, and I used to live, as you know, a gay lifestyle for 20 years. So I'm not hateful to gay people. I just don't like liars.
Right.
Any form of lying, I despise. If you're a down low dude, I hate you. If you're a transgender hiding for the fact that you're transgender and you don't want to tell it and you're tricking people into believing you're a woman, I hate you. Just like I would hate a gay woman who really wants to be in that lifestyle, but you're walking around talking about you're a full straight woman and you get with a guy and you have a family, but your mind is on women all the time. You should be honest with that man before you lay down and have his child, lay down and stand up and get married. I think that anything and everything about you should be on the table so a person can choose if they want to deal with that headache or not. You're stripping people's ability to rationalize and wrap their mind around what they perceive your future with them would mean when they don't know you like that. And so you're robbing them and replacing it with misinformation and outright lies. And I don't respect anybody that's going to just set people up like that. But we see a slew of people doing it for sport now. There was a story, I believe 3 days ago, I heard of a transgender person I don't know who was bragging about tricking Ray J and what's the other person's name? Trey Songz in relations, because this person supposedly went all the way through with the procedures and, you know, removals and all that to look like a real woman. And this person was bragging about, yeah, I was with this person and many other celebrities that you may not know. And this other guy was like, this gay guy was like, well, why are you wearing that like a badge of honor? You a hoe. You know what I mean? Da, 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 da. But that's what's happening is like, but when you hear about straight, real straight men, because I know there's a lot of down low men that don't mind dealing with transgender, but the real ones that never imagine being with a man, if you go do that to that man, I understand if he finds out what you are, like in reality, if he gets mad and want to harm you. I'm not saying it's right, but you again stole his ability to choose when you lie, even though you might look the part because wigs now is fashionable. Makeup, you can make a real ugly person look like they're a fucking model out here. It's called witchcraft with the makeup and the wig and the lashes and all that shit. So it's not too hard to trick men because they're so thirsty anyway. So you put on high heels and get your fake boobs and pull it up, you know, to where you can see some breastises and, you know, wear some perfume. You got a thirsty guy that's going to soon be coming because that's what they're doing. But these men need to know if you want to remain straight.
Right. But it doesn't only go for the men. It also go for the women as well.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what you do, you need to be truthful to the other person, because that's just plain wrong to lie about that. You know, in the first.
Not only that, but transgendered is known to have higher cases of HIV, AIDS, because they don't get hired as much or they get outed, and so and all of them are promiscuous. How you say that word? Promiscuous. Because they're real men.
Wrong too.
They're easy. Yeah. And because I lived that lifestyle, I used to see them go from one man to the next like draws. And I used to be like, and when AIDS came around in the 90s, I started seeing people drop off like flies. And it was just really scary. In fact, there was an ex of mine's brother that died of AIDS, and I kind of watched him like deteriorate right in front of my face. So
but to be fair, so that you don't get any backlash, to be fair, right? Because you know, you have to be fair across the board.
Mm-hmm.
And saying that, what I'm saying is this: whether is man on man, because you're talking about, you know, passing on HIV, AIDS, and things like that. Mm-hmm. As if women can't give women those type of diseases as well.
You can, but it's not as high. It's not as high. You can go talk to your doctor and hear the statistics behind who is getting HIV from who. And most women are getting it from straight or bisexual men.
I myself, and I tell people all the time, I don't care for statistics. I really don't. Mm-hmm. But speaking on an equality level, right, is what I'm saying. That
well, the only reason why I brought it up is because that's what I saw personally. I'm not trying to drag anybody else that doesn't need to be dragged. I'm saying that what I saw in the early 90s with my own eyes, it really shaked my mind for clarity as far as how people are doing too much, even though they know that the disease was around, and they still was hooking up with a lot of different men. And I was just like, wow, this is really scary. And I'm trying to tell straight men, if that's who you are, you need to start having a casual conversation with women that you think are women, and start with the first thing. What were you born as? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. What were you born as? You might have to go that level. You might have to ask to see baby pictures. You may have to talk to a family member to verify, because that's where it's going. And what I'm saying is that transgender are more protected than Black Americans are. That's what I've noticed. Because
with that, I was about to say that. I was about to say what you just said. That's my only problem. I don't care what you are. You can be whatever you want to be. But when it comes to being imbalanced, when it comes to treating one gender over the next, I have a problem with, because I don't understand how straight people can have less than people that's with the same sex. Like, to me, I don't understand that, but you know,
and that's what they're doing. What they're doing is protecting them, and they're using our civil rights to hyphenate their movement and their rights, and giving them money and decisions for them to be protected more than us. And then they claim to be representative or partaking in the Black community, which you are going against or competing with women for the men, because you don't want gay men. These transgender want alpha looking men. They want the ones that are athletes. They want the ones that are superstars. They want the ones that are cute. They don't want no, prissy gay guy, Tinkerbell looking like that. They want a real looking like man. So you're essentially now become the competition with, normal women that are straight. And that's just, so you cannot be a sister if you're becoming the rivalry and call that unity and call that the same thing. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to push that on to us and tell us we cannot speak out against that. But when we can't speak out against that and they can speak out against us, who the one got control and power? We ain't got it no more. And so if these Black men don't get mad about this case or other cases that could potentially put them at risk for the anger or whatever you might do if you get tricked, you need to take better care of what you're doing when you see someone you think that looks good. Because again, the good thing about these types of people, they don't get pregnant. And like I said, if they're gonna look like a woman and lie very well, and you're drunk or you're high or whatever you're doing, or you're trying to hurry up and get some, like too many men are acting like, you're gonna be played like a sport. And that's kind of like where I'm seeing this going. The point of me bringing that up is to bring up the fact that our identity is most wanted by everybody pertaining to this word Black in America. And that term has bastardized our ethnicity here in America. Everybody's piling into the term Black. Now they're trying to hijack African American. If it ain't transgender on our tippy toes, in our way, or stepping on us, then you have Pan-Africans and migrants and refugees and Africans that come over here telling us that we have to acknowledge the Africanness of an ancestor that we don't know, and that we have to call ourselves African, or we're self-haters type of talk. So they're putting all this pressure on us while nobody else is feeling pressured. And it's very interesting to me because these same Pan-Africans are more concerned about how I identify myself than a transgender is. They're not attacking them and saying, hey, you can't, pull into the woman's sphere of, they're not mad about it. In other words, that's not a battle they're willing to wage. They want to wage the war against us self-identifying as who we say we are. And who I say we are is Indigenous Black Americans. I don't like the title of FBA, ADOS, or Indian, or Israelite, or a Moor. I mean, I'm sure there's other things you can think on, or religious type of thinking, because all these things allows people from other groups or organizations to also pile in and infiltrate. Through that door, you allow them to get in without just saying specifically, like, look, we're just American. I might rock with Christianity as a secondary to what my Americanness is, but I'm just a Black American indigenous to America. They won't go there. They have to be all in. They have to dive into the pool of, I'm a total Israelite and the Lord wrote this Bible about me. And it's like, come on, let's be real, y'all. We are God's people as far as surviving. No one helped us but the grace of God, our people, and even some white folks that also contributed in our help for civil rights and for abolishing of slavery and this and that and the other. But there was no African here fighting for us. So why are we now today fast forwarding to pretend that Africans, and I'm not talking bad about all Africans, but these one that are luring us to Africa, in particular Ghana, the same slave traders that sold throughout the globe. And we do know, if you look up history, that the vast majority of the slaves went to the Caribbeans. That's just a fact. They went to Haiti, they went to Jamaica. There was only a set number that came here. The vast majority were Black Indians already here. The few that were here intermingled with some that became like a 3 different blood situation, because most of them have white as well in their blood. So I say we're a whole new race, because we're not one thing, but we are one thing as far as being American. And if everybody would just stop the debates, we can stop these Pan-Africans talking this bullshit and trying to do what they're trying to do now. So let me read before I go.
What are they trying to do? What are they trying to do?
I'm about to show you right now. Let me read a brief article about that word diaspora that you talked about.
Okay.
Because diaspora was around back in Roman Greek time, and it was mostly used for the Jewish people. But let me read just a little bit of this. It says, this comes from the diaspora, a look back on a concept. It was first written, I believe, in France, and they translated it to English because it came from, again, way long ago. It was never in America like that. This term, diaspora, is a fairly new term to us, beginning in the early 70s, and it escalated more in the 80s. And after the African American term was attached to us, then it kind of like grew like wildfire in the 90s and now. So it reads that there are some words that are used at loosening their meanings. Diaspora is one of these, full of empty of meaning. We're speaking today of cultural diasporas, or fear diasporas, virtual diasporas, etc. This introductive paper is an attempt to clarify the development of a concept since the beginning of its life inside the social sciences during the 70s. So this word wasn't touched until the 70s, and it happened through social science, through school, through scholars, through debates, this type of stuff. Okay. The term diaspora finds its roots in the Greek language and is based on a translation of the Hebrew word galut, based on sperio, to sow, and the preposition dia, or over. In the ancient Greece, the word referred to migration and colonization. In Hebrew, the term initially referred to the settling of colonies for Jews outside of Palestine after the Babylonian exile, and has assumed a more general connotation of people settled away from their ancestral homelands. And this was upgraded back in 2003. So when this concept came, it was back in prehistoric times with the Jewish people that were living in Rome time. You hear about Jesus that was crucified and how he was traded out by Jewish people and the like, those, we call it Pharisees, and all those types of people were Jewish people back in that time, as far as the Bible's stating they were. But what I'm trying to tell you is that Britain, being the empire that colonized around the globe, they started there in Africa in I think it was like 64, where you had the scramble for Africa. Maybe I'm off. Maybe it's 1884. And they had all these different white people from all over that didn't want to fight among themselves no more after World War II. They said, hey, we can share this pie in Africa. We don't have to be fighting among ourselves. Let's just take what we want and split it. So they had this type of Berlin conference that happened, and they divided different lands, that they colonized Africa with. And that, fast forward, is what the British Empire had done, furthering her grip into these Commonwealth countries such as Jamaica, Ghana, Nigeria, and all the other Western African places. So it was a form of colonization. And what I'm trying to let it be known to people that are listening before I carry on with the article is that we won the war in 1776, I believe, the independence of us getting away from Britain. At that time, before the war, they had 13 colonies here in America. And when we won the war, by the help of Black people that were here, they were able to gain their independence, thus the 4th of July. So right after we won independence, a year later is when this guy by the name of Prince Hall came onto the scene, a Barbados dude. No one knows who his father is, but he came from Barbados, again, coming from the Caribbean. Here in America, just pops up. Hello. And he was a founder of a Freemasonry group. He tried to get into a Freemasonry white group, but I think he's biracial. He was denied because you know how they were back then. And this was in the 1700s. They were like, no, 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 you can't be joining our special little secret society. But he was like, well, I'll just
black Masons was not allowed
to
intermingle with the white Masons. Yeah.
So I think he was biracial because he thought maybe he could with his father, whoever that was, because I don't know if it even mentions his father as being white or not. I think they said that he didn't know who his father was, just for the sake of trying to make it a mystery. But he made this Freemasonry group, and all of a sudden, this term African American was used back then. But you do know that when slavery was happening, they named people Negro, then colored, then it was freeman, then it was also mulatto, and then it turned to black. And that was like I think they were trying to use different wordings to try to craft it to make it mean that when other black people started using black, that's our people. And the indoctrination of Roots, I think that happened in the early 80s or late 70s, if I'm correct, with Roots. You remember all those different movies? They used to have long ass like indoctrination movies of Roots and different slave movies. Every few years they have a new one. That was the beginning of them trying to recolonize us mentally and spiritually, because the Queen lost, or whoever was in charge at that time lost the so-called colonies. And so while they was, colonizing everywhere else, they needed to have a means to get into America to colonize the so-called perceived slaves of old, which is us. So that's why you hear of this Marcus Garvey, you hear of Prince Hall, you hear of other folks that use that term back then when Africa was named by a white guy. They weren't calling themselves African. They were calling themselves, Yoruba and all these other things that Britain forced onto the Nigerians, for instance, of what to call themselves, and when they divided up Nigeria as well. So that term, I don't know how early they started using it, but I know that when slavery happened, that African term wasn't used until later, after 1777, when that word was first used. And the reason why they incorporated it, because they wanted to let it be a thought in our mind that that's what we should believe ourselves to mean, even though they weren't using that word before that time. So that's why Prince Hall is very important to remember, because he was also a beginner, what W.E.B. Du Bois, and others that were so-called for this Pan-African talk. And the first Pan-African conference happened in London, 1900, with Henry Sylvester Williams, who again came from Trinidad and appeared in London for this first conference. Like, he didn't get the okay from the crown, and then ended up in America somehow again, like they always seem to find their way here, because they were trying to get into our psyche back then to make us believe that we are those people, even though they know we're not. So let me go back to this article. It says that in social sciences, the term diaspora is recent. Before the 80s, there was only few quotations of this concept. It was due to the fact, as Judith of 2002 stated, underlined, that before the 1960s, immigrant groups were generally expected to shed their ethnic identity and assimilate to local norms. Groups that were thought unable to do this weren't admitted. That includes China or it says Chins to Canada, non-whites to Australia. During the 70s is when assimilation theory and other theories based on the same meaning of integration models demonstrated their fallibility, the notion of diaspora occurred progressively to describe migrant groups, migrants maintaining their ethnic tradition, a strong feeling of collectiveness. So it is only during the 80s that the concept of diaspora as known a period of expansion. But quickly, some authors, such as Elaine of 1993 or James Clifford of 1994, expressed their disinterest in the concept because in more and more researches, the concept was quoted just for to describe phenomenon characterized only by the dispersion of a population originated from the nation state in several host countries. And these authors called for more pluralization. So after they got the word in the 70s and they start toying around with it in social science, then of course we knew after Martin Luther King died and Malcolm X died, our movement died. And what you heard is more and more of this Pan-African, this consciousness, this Black power, all this type of crap talk. That's where it comes from. That's why you hear these clowns talking about Egypt all the time, Kemet all the time, Mayat law and all this stuff, because they've been trying to link us back to Africa with their so-called studies, so-called education. But that term was never, ever ours because we don't have a nation state in Africa, because many of us were here, from here. And again, if you do have a strand or one or two that so happen to be from Africa, you find out about it, there's other bloods that you also are made up of. So why would you choose Africa over everything? Because as far as I can tell, white did us dirty, Indian people did us dirty, and the Africans did us dirty. So we don't owe any allegiance to anyone as far as I'm concerned. I think we just owe allegiance to ourselves and respect our history, and just do it forward. I don't feel the need to like parse out a storyline that's appeasing to Africans to make them feel good and toasty inside. For what? So, okay, let me go now to what Ghana's doing. As you know, well, the ones that are listening might not know. 4 years ago, Ghana apologized supposedly through this drunkard. Let me let you guys hear a tidbit of this. This drunkard, so-called chief unnamed, and they decided because of their desire to want us to help them pay their debt, because that's what this is all about. They're in a lot of debt issues. They've mismanaged a lot of money, and I will prove that before I get off. They've done so bad with so much money that now they're looking to us as the only solution, and they made deals with people behind the scenes about us without bothering to ask if we want to be bothered. And that's the sad part about it. So I'm gonna put up, so after, well, before I play this, they were just here in Kansas City, supposedly apologizing for slavery again. They brought 100 so-called delegates there in Kansas City, but oh no, they didn't go national where you can hear it on the news, none of that. They went to where you had to link up with a Zoom room where you can see it and you can hear the apology if you so signed up for this Zoom meeting. So they did not really mean it like that. They just are putting it out there to the atmosphere that they're trying to be responsible for the past, for harming so many people. But you know, we're apologizing because we want you motherfuckers ultimately to start paying us towards our debt. So if you find out that the only reason why someone's apologizing so that they can have access to your money better, is that really an apology? Do you perceive that?
Heck no.
Okay, so if you knew that they were in dire straits with their economy, and the only reason why that they steadily are coming for you is because of their economy situation, wouldn't you feel offended if that's why they're doing it?
Yep.
Well, that's why they're doing it. Now listen to this 2018 fake ass apology. I don't have the newest one again because I didn't join no Zoom because I'm not getting hacked by nobody. I ain't playing that type of game. But let's listen to this old drunken apology and just understand how he forgot about America he talked about the Caribbeans, and he was reminded about the Americas, because he knows that they didn't trade really in America like that, because we were already there. That's the part they don't want us to get. But here we go.
We are very privileged to be with you, particularly our brothers and sisters from the Caribbeans and the diaspora, and the people from all over Africa, our brothers and sisters from all over Africa. I wish at this point to particularly to apologize deeply on behalf of the chiefs and people of Gold Coast and Ghana for the atrocities, the cruelty, the inhuman treatment that were committed 400 years ago by my ancestors during the Atlantic slave trade, where over 400 years ago, millions of our brothers and sisters were captured, sold, and transported under inhumane and cruel circumstances through Elmina Castle across to the Caribbeans and to the New World. On behalf of the chiefs and people of Ghana, I do render unqualified apology.
Qualified.
Deep from the bottom of our hearts. Deep from our bottom of our hearts.
Oh.
But one thing that I want you to be aware of, it was not without resistance. Some of our chiefs did fought and resisted. Some of our people did fought and resisted. But we are fighting a losing battle against a stronger army. People with guns, we had no guns. They deceived us with liquor and all other temptations. Whatever the circumstances that led us to us, we stand here to render apology. And it's my wish and prayer that this apology is accepted. Is accepted by our brothers and sisters from the diaspora.
From the diaspora. Again, whenever you hear Pan-Africans talking, they always referencing so-called African Americans. They're not talking to the Haitians, the Jamaicans, the other Africans here in America to join their money together to go do something, since they're the one crying all the time about Africa. Why aren't they joining monies together among themselves? Because they're already colonized. That's why. They're already in the back pocket of the British Crown. Even though she died, it showcased at the funeral was who's who. Because who's who, we show, you could show a clip, or at least you guys can look it up later. If you put in African leaders, most of them that came to the funeral of Queen Elizabeth were bussed in to the funeral proceedings. The only ones that had the exception to the rule was, of course, President Biden, and also Ghana's president, President Otto, and the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, I believe. I don't know of any other dark-skinned folk that weren't given that type of treatment as a car or vehicle provided, other than, like I said, Ghana's President Otto. But it showcases who they deem is who in their mind. And since this President Otto's on task to kind of like make us believe that he's in control and charge, they didn't want him to have that picture, so they allowed him to be, you know, carted in a nice vehicle, chaperone, and all that. but not the African leaders. They were looking all mustified and sardined out. It looked pathetic.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, but the imagery of seeing all of them bust in, but him being treated like Biden was like very interesting to me, because like I said, they don't talk to other Africans and other people because they're already colonized. They don't need them because they already got them. The only ones that they don't have is us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when you have all these people talking about pan-Africanism so much, is because that is a tool used to try to colonize us. But I did tell you about Frederick Douglass warning us back in 1894. He was also an abolitionist, and what he used to do as a hobby was write speeches. And what he would do is curtail what happened at that time, what was going on, where we can visualize through his speech what was going on. And he had a speech called The Lessons of the Hour. It was a very potent speech. There's a YouTuber that has an enactment of it. But basically what it said is that, you know, the American Colonization Society, where people are bragging about how Liberia had free slaves be sent by the government. The government paid the then free slaves that didn't make status to be American, because that was like 40 years or more later before that status happened to the remnants of people that stayed behind. But the folks that freshly became free, that's when the American colonization came from nowhere. They were kind of like a group, a white group mostly, of people that was part of the government. They're kind of like an advocacy type of group that you see, or organization, but they intermingle with different elitists of that time. And they were the elitists too. And they dealt with abolitionists, and they dealt with other people that were prominent in that time. They even knew who Frederick Douglass was. But Frederick Douglass warned us, like, look, these people coming as if they're good and they're likable people because they're rocking this abolitionist term, but they really don't care for your existence in the end if they're sending you somewhere where they know that is being colonized. In fact, it's being colonized. That's why it's called the American Colonization Society.
Mm-hmm.
So those freed slaves that made it to Liberia ended up, most of them were biracial, but they ended up ruling over the indigenous Liberians of that time until war broke out and all this other stuff. People started eating hearts and cannibalism and all kinds of craziness stuff that happened in that time. But at some time they ruled, and they were living, you know, fat off the hog. They had more money than the regular people had because they got set up with money. I think one of the people that founded Liberia with this colonization society was a relative of one of the presidents. I think it was Madison, I want to say. It's either Jefferson or Madison. But him and his ilk, biracials, they went over there and ruled the people. But they, I don't think he was a slave. I think he was a free guy, but he was still given the green light to go over there to regulate because it was American Colonization Society. And so you hear Pan-Africans spewing this rhetoric that Liberia today is our homeland. It's like, what the fuck you mean? The same choice that my people declined in, I'm doing the same. You know, only the people that went over there with the legacy of that history, you should be talking to about those, your people. If they want you to include you in their family line, have at it. But you don't come to the people that never chose to go. But that's what they do. They say, yeah, that's your homeland over there in Liberia. It also happened in Sierra Leone as well. There was also, I guess, an invitation for Jamaicans also to go over there, and other Caribbeans also went to Liberia. But they try to really focus in on America because they want us to believe that's our homeland, because they want us to go. And like I said, you hear the rhetoric of these Pan-Africans all the time bashing us about our view of Africa, like we can't have an opinion. And the fact that all they seem to do is argue about, you know, our identity. And when we tell them we perceive ourselves as an American, they like, it's like blasphemy to them, like we slapped their brand new baby child or something.
How many of these Pan-Africanists, how many of them have packed up and gone to Africa, or are they all still here? And how long they've been here?
Most
Because
of
there's
them
people
are,
probably
both of them are here.
yeah.
They haven't, there's only a handful of people. There's this family by the name of Bag family in the Gambia. I think they've been there the longest, like 6 years or more, a little bit over 6 years. And he brought his whole entire family. He brought his wife. These are retirees though, okay.
Oh,
Um,
that's
and that's that. Those are the ones that they really want because they have definite money until it's not so definite. They better hope
Mhm.
that never changes. And then also they have like old military people with pensions that go over there. But everybody else that don't have guaranteed money like they do, they're gambling. You know, there was a story. Let me find this old story. It was a story of two sisters that lived their whole life believing in this Pan-African talk and women's rights, liberation, and all that. And they built their house. They were elderly. In fact, they came from Michigan, where I was born, and they found themselves dead after a land dispute in Ghana in 2015. And they lost their lives back in 2015 over a land dispute, like murdered, like it was nothing but a chicken wing. These elderly Black American women saw that the people were getting jealous of them. They went to court. They called themselves like fighting to, not turn up. They couldn't do nothing even if they wanted to. What they gonna do, old 67-year-old woman? They can't do nothing. They were at the mercy of those people living there, and they showed them no mercy. Okay, this comes from Detroit Free Press. There is hardly nobody talking about this story. There's only been me that talked about it. There's only been one other YouTuber by the name of I Love Nigeria, Kiki Loves Nigeria, who talked about it recently. But none of the Pan Africans shout out these people that lost their life. None of the people that are African ever talk about them because they don't want us to think about anything negative. Like I say, it's one-sided. They want us to live in the Wakanda in our mind and in our spirit. They want us to be so dumbed down that we just take risks that no one else in their right mind would do. But here's the story. It says, ex-Detroit activist 75 and her sister slain in Ghana. This was May 8th, 2015. It says, inspired by the social movements at the time, Jeanette Salters of Detroit got involved in the early 1970s. Remember that beginning of the diaspora word? It started coming out in the 70s where they were using that word diaspora. So here she is, a first founder for this idea to be started out in the 70s. She worked with different groups. She was a feminist. She worked with different women groups, and that led her to discover her roots in so-called West Africa, where she eventually settled in Ghana, changing her name to Melina Diop. Her journey to Africa was part of a movement of Detroiters who sought to reclaim their ancestral roots during a revival of Black nationalist movements. Okay, all these movements and stuff are targeting us specifically. This Diop loved it there, said friends and family. But this week, her body, along with that of her sister, Enizga Jana, was found near their home in Ghana at what may have been killings in a dispute over land. She was 75 and her sister was 60 at the time of death, according to the reports in the Ghanaian online news site and family members. 2 men have been arrested, according to the Ghanaian news report and family members. But look, think about all the money that they invested. Who's living in that house now enjoying the reaps of her sowing and money and effort? It ain't her sister, it ain't her family. It's those people there. So she was used as a tool to be sacrificed for her money as she died a horrific death, plus her sister. Can you imagine when these people mob killed both of them, what their last thoughts were before they were dead? Can you imagine that?
What did they do to them to kill them? What did they die from?
It says, I feel sorry about what happened, said her son, Greg Salters of Detroit. It's a tragedy. Words can't even explain how I feel about my mom being taken away from her home, murdered. She was essentially accosted at her home, taken from her home, kidnapped, murdered, put in a shallow grave 300 feet from her home. But they came and knocked on the door and grabbed them, snatched them up, and took them away and killed them.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so when you talk about that kind of stuff and the fact that is a high risk for us, there ain't no protection. We don't have no guns. We don't have like as many people that are there because we're not from there. Even if you have 5 guys there with you, what are you going to do with 50 different people come and mob y'all up? What can you do? You can't do nothing. And so when they say not to trip, you know, let me see if I can find this other article because someone else said the suspect admits killing the 2. It says one of the suspects has demonstrated to the court how he killed the 2 African-American women. One of the six suspects. Wow. 6 people came and bum rushed them, who was arrested by the police in the eastern region for their roles in the murder of 2 African-American citizens, has confessed killing the 2 expats. It says after the confession was said to have demonstrated to the police how he murdered the 2 sisters at Akwampa Mafi before burying them few meters from their home. They were kidnapped, murdered, and buried in a shallow grave. And the paramount chief of the area, the traditional area, he dispatched over 70 people to complement a police search for the 2 missing persons and later exhumed the bodies. Wow. It is not clear yet the motive for the killings, even though 6 arrested suspects, including 2 African Americans. Whoa, including 2 African Americans? Oh my
Now
God, I didn't see that
right
part.
there is a twist.
Oh my God, I didn't see that part.
Me neither.
Oh my God, you got 2 African Americans also appearing in the court. They said that the Anake Ya Frempong, a driver and a caretaker in one of the apartments where the crime was committed, was charged with murder. 5 of the accused, a mechanic, a farmer, a petitioner, a businessman, and a surgeon assistant were charged with conspiracy to commit crime and with murder. Okay, I didn't hear that part about, but you know, the names that I'm looking at, they look like they were not the typical Black Americans, because the Karima, Muhammad, Azid, Alazim, Mesa, Muta, these people are really Africans that got the they're using the African American title though because they were citizens. So they're not the typical Black Americans like we are. So it wasn't that. But they use the African American term whenever they want, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me play this other bit of news. Okay, so we're talking about the type of mentality that Ghana has, and then we'll get to their debt, because I just recently heard of today, or was it yesterday, that there is some missing $100 million from monies that's supposed to be derived from oil. Somehow 100 million comes up missing. Somehow. Oh, did you hear yesterday there was a coup in Burkina Faso yesterday?
No.
Just happened yesterday.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. Let me play that first, and then I'm gonna look for this other.
Right.
Hold on. And this is where JT Bigger Figure invited us to go a year ago. He invited people to buy land. He invited people to rent apartments. He had somebody that listened to him and ended up getting killed there. And then soon thereafter, after he got accused with sleeping with a woman and having a child and avoiding paying some money to one of the women there as well, he ended up in Kenya. But all the people that he had solicited to go to Burkina Faso are now not there. Luckily for them, they're not there, but he still sold land to some people. Listen to this.
Another coup in Burkina Faso.
Can
On
you hear
Friday, residents woke to the sound of gunfire. Soldiers took positions on the capital's main artery, blocking access to the presidential palace, where heavy gunfire could be heard. Hours later, soldiers from Burkina Faso's special forces, led by young Captain Ibrahim Traoré, appeared on national television, announcing their military takeover in what appears to be a coup within a coup.
Notre idéal commun du départ, our common ideal, was betrayed by our leader, Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Damiba, in whom we had placed all our trust. Indeed, the deterioration of the security situation, which justified our action, has been relegated to the background in favor of unfortunate political adventures.
As the day unfolded, a small crowd gathered celebrating the military takeover and the end of Paul-Henri Damiba's rule.
Damiba has been in power for 9 months. He has killed Burkina Faso. He has sold all of us. He is incompetent. The people will raise their voices to make him understand that they are heard. He has forced Burkina Faso into this situation.
Damiba himself took over in a coup last January. He promised to bring back peace and security to a country under attack from armed groups linked to Al-Qaeda and ISIL. But since he took power, Burkina's forces have gone from setbacks to military defeat, despite the military support of France, the former colonial power.
Burkina no longer agrees with the partnerships that bind us with France. And we are not in favor of coups, but we are in favor of coups that lead us to cooperate with other partners who will be win-win partners.
These protesters wave Russian flags, desperate to see an end to military defeat. They want Russia to support an army that seems divided, fighting each other, while armed groups continue to gain grounds.
Can you
Nicholas Hall, Al
imagine
Jazeera, Dakar.
needing to rely on Russia, who just invaded Ukraine?
Yeah, right.
They want to get away from one colonizer to sign up for a new one.
Which is retarded.
And they want us to want to go there and enjoy the festivities of that. Now, I want you to hear, because we just talked about Burkina Faso, I'm gonna shout out JT's line ass on how he was running around trying to sell land and just doing too much. He was on one. Listen to him with his spiel. And this, mind you, this is a year ago. He was trying to sell apartments for $500 a pop with a 3-bedroom there in Burkina Faso. He's no longer in Burkina Faso. He's in Kenya. He goes back and forth. And when that burns out, he'll be somewhere else. But he's still leading people to spend money, to trust him, believe him. Again, he is a rapper. He has residual money. He's going to be okay no matter what. And he don't stick around for anything that goes bad. He bounces. As soon as he get any wind of anything, he's gone. But listen to him when he's in his heyday a year ago, talking about Burkina Faso that just had the coup yesterday.
$460 in Africa. They speak English. The mall right down the street. Downtown is 10 minutes away, 20 minutes away. This house is right here. It's nothing but houses. Small little kitchen. Just a little something to get you going. Put your refrigerator up in here. Hold on. 460, 3 bedrooms. You got your little deck right here. And you got another deck right there. Okay, hold on. Let them see big. Then you got your outside deck right here, though. That's what I like. This where, come on, step outside right here. Ah, another deck. Ah, right here. Another deck right here. It's your deck outside right here. $465 a month. 3-bedroom. Okay. 460.
Oh, doesn't that sound wonderful? Okay, but your ass didn't stay there. And he was accused by a woman of stealing money or not paying him for work that she did. I want you to hear a little bit of this joke. It's called Trappings Flexing. The guy, I don't know why he played music on it, because JT Bigger Figure went in on this woman when she was yelling while he had a live on. He put on a live to talk about what he does and what he's doing, and the woman was seeing him on the porch, and she started yelling at him about money that he owed her. And hear the back and forth, if you can hear it, Unfortunately, they're playing music, but it's still funny. You can hear him going off.
Even good. She trying to type some shit, bitch. You typed up a few words, bitch. That was nothing. Straight up. I'm glad y'all got to see that. Hey, man, listen. Hey, listen. Fatu is going to deal with you. Fatu will deal with you. Fatu will deal with you. Yes. Very disrespectful.
Huh? What'd you say?
What is all that? That's extra. What is all of that?
Because he owed somebody some money about a year ago. Some woman happened to see him sitting on the porch outside, and she's outside the gate yelling at him, letting him know, look, nigga, you didn't pay me the money you owed me. And he happened to have the live already on, so she kind of interrupted the live. And so he goes in to threaten her, to tell her, you know, and he had a machete. He was talking about getting a machete, like to go brandish like a big sword looking thing, and threaten to like do something to her if she didn't shut the fuck up and move the fuck on, like literally. But I don't know why he played this music. This was an African guy trying to spruce it up, but you can hear him yelling at her.
I'm finna say, was he playing the music just to drown her out or something?
He did. It wasn't JT Figure, because he took down that video. But you know how other people catch the clip, and since the people in Burkina Faso was basically trying to call him out and say that he was a phony, that he's just hustling them and this and that and the other, that he just spruced it up with music. But you can hear JT Figure. Is the music too loud?
No.
Okay.
Hey, look. If you don't get this disturbance away from my house, it's time to do something else. You are over here, man. Let me get this. Get away from here. Get away from here. You gonna get your ass beat the fuck up, bitch. Bitch, you don't own nothing. Get the fuck away from here, dumbass black ass bitch. I have to give you a little energy. It's a little bit early morning. Your work is no good. I don't want your work. That's why I don't want it. No work now. Keep your work. Hey,
Okay, he was making light of it and all that, but he was definitely threatening her, and let it be known, if you come over here close enough, you go get got. You know what I mean? So the African guy just wanted to reiterate the fact that JT Figure is not what he appears to be, that how he's on YouTube is not what it is about. So he grabbed that clipping. You know, he was going to different places claiming to make other Africans into rap stars. And he did work with a couple of so-called up-and-coming rappers when he was in Burkina Faso. And like I said, he left everybody in a blazing smoke and moved to Kenya and back to America when it got hot. What happened was, one of the people he invited for this land, he was a little bit off. And he ended up going to Burkina Faso's military base. And he was killed, this American that was off. And so when the news broke about the murder of the American, you know, he tried to play it off and say, oh, yeah, he was on some meds and he was a little mental. I didn't know he was like that until he got here. But everything happens in America, too. So don't let that be the reason why you're deterred from coming here as well. But then his ass, in a matter of 2-3 months' time, left Burkina Faso for good and never looked back. So now I'm going to play the latest that I just got yesterday, where people are talking about Ghana has a petroleum fund that somehow has $100 million just conveniently missing. and this is what I mean about, you know, I seen somebody in the chat room saying I'm talking bad about Africans. I talk bad about everybody that's bad. I talk about Black Americans that are bad. I talk about women that are bad. I talk about men that are bad. I talk about transgender people that are bad. I talk about them all. I don't hold nobody above righteousness and telling my truth. If you want to believe in Africa and their lives, go have at it. Please sign up for whatever they tell you to do. Then if something happens to you, don't expect us to cry or care. If you feel that way, go do what you want.
Of petroleum funds is missing from state coffers.
Can you hear it?
According to the minority spokesperson on mines and
do you need it louder?
No, I can hear it. It's fine.
I mean, for the audience, though.
Can
y'all
hear it clear enough in the audience? Can y'all hear it?
A minority in Ghana's parliament is alleging that $100 million of petroleum funds is missing from state coffers. According to the minority spokesperson on mines and energy, John Chinako, checks conducted by the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, could not reveal where the money accrued from Ghana's petroleum resources have been launched.
The Petroleum Revenue Management Act, Act 815, stipulates that when this oil, the barrels of oil are sold, the preceding month, by the 15th of the month, all revenues accruing from our petroleum resources ought to be deposited or lodged into the Petroleum Holding Fund. The Petroleum Holding Fund is the receptacle for all revenues accruing from our oil resources, be it sale of oil, surface rental, royalties, or corporate. So it's clear that is the law. If you don't put it there and you take it any other place, you are violating the law. But even more importantly, in the PIAC report, PIAC wrote to the minister to ascertain and determine where those lodgements were made. The minister responded by saying they couldn't provide those answers, and the PIAC should rather go to GRA. PIAC contacted GRA, wrote to them, and GRA responded that they couldn't provide it. And that is where the problem is. These two bodies cannot even explain PIAC where the lodgements have been made and into which accounts the lodgements have been made. Then we can conclude that indeed those monies cannot be accounted for. And if something cannot be accounted for, it is missing until found.
But the minority says they will use.
Okay, so money, 100 million just disappears. They don't know what had happened, but it's gone bye-byes. And this is the thing that I have a problem with Ghana on. The fact that so many stories of scams are coming out of Ghana. Before this year return, let me recap. You know, the last live that we did together 7 months ago, I think I talked a little bit about this, or maybe on my videos, I can't remember. But back in 2017 is when, when this then President Ado was brought in as the president of Ghana. The same year, Dr. Ericana, who is the twisted wigged, lying, fraudulent, used to be ambassador, who was fired for fraud. They converged in Washington, D.C., 2018 at the GAG conference, which was a forum that was not known to the public, but Ghana came with all their special little friends with the Black Caucus. And on the podium, Sheila Jackson Lee was bragging about how she was over the reparations bill. And I'm like, you know, that's what got me really my mind spinning. Like, why are you talking about our reparations to past so-called enslavers, traitors? Why would you even bring that up? Because they're not supposed to be in that conversation. But apparently they have made deals behind our back. This now Sheila Lee is signaling to Ghana that it's a goal for him to try to snatch up reparations. And just a month ago, I did videos where I showcased him talking about declaring to try to represent our reparations towards Africa. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know any Black American that's living in America would be smiling broadly hearing about a foreigner who is a past slave trading bloodline talking about stealing money out of his pocket from his family and his legacy and his future. But that's exactly what he did last month. So when I talk about Ghana and I talk about Africans, I'm not talking about everyone. I'm talking about specific people that are talking at us. And specifically, I'm talking about Ghana. And specifically, I'm talking about certain Pan-Africans. I'm not talking about every non-known person that's African, because they don't have power in their government, they're the ones being done dirty by their government as well. Like I talked about, 6 indigenous banks, 2017, 28 collapsed collectively at the same time over mismanagement of the same administration that still is in power. These same people hijacked their own people's money from their bank and didn't give it back. Okay. So they think that we got next. Okay. There was a story about a Ghanaian that moved to America, took over a bank, a renowned Black American bank that used to be owned by us, but he took it off the hands of somebody and then proceeded to scam. What he did was try to fake pump and tell people that have been paying on like their bills that they never paid on those bills. And he was trying to compensate someone's house because he was also in realty. But the lady in question was a stickler for receipts. And so she was able to showcase the story about what this guy attempted to do. And I'm going to find that story before I get up off here. But it's like, they're all over the place. They're scamming all over the place. And fast forward today, after she got fired, this Dr. Ericana, like I said before, she borrowed $500 million bond. A bond is debt with interest applied to the debt of what you have to pay back. None of these people are expecting for themselves to pay anything back, but that's free money to them in their pocket in the meanwhile. And what they're doing is hoping to ensnare us into the debt of that and all the other projects that they have signed up for with the different loans that they got from the IMF, the World Bank, China lending them money. In fact, in 2018, China gave Africa $60 billion for developments of their projects for railroads, for different governmental projects and housing, and this and that and there. They did $60 billion worth of money, but of course, China is real smart about making sure that they keep the contract for their own workers to work, and that the money that they borrow, they make sure that Africa won't be able to pay that back because most of them pocket the money. And then they're tallying up all these debts. And now they want to figure out how they can find us into being debt slaves.
Right.
And this is what I've been talking about. It's like, okay, Dr. Ericana has a database that now has been a little bit over a year. It's called RADDI database. It is a database that's collecting so-called donations towards projects that she is making up in her mind, one being Wakanda City, that she says, oh, it's going to take 20 to 30 years to be realized. But can you donate in the meanwhile? She's collecting all this money, and people are signing their name, number, address, what they do. And, of course, if you use your credit card, they have all their information nice and tidy in their databases. She's collecting all this information to forward that to our Congress, to our Black caucus, and say, oh, these are our people, the ones that were a part of slavery. We want to host them. Remember, the diaspora term specifically said a hosted nation. And they're trying to make us into they want to be our hosted nation, to have the authority over our reparations towards Africa is what they're doing. This is why they're here right now, as I speak, apologizing in a Zoom room where you have to sign on to see it. Because they don't really mean it. But they're trying to move in such a way to make it seem like this is about unity. But if it was about unity, wouldn't you get the Africans involved with their, ploy to help develop Africa? Why are you just talking to us solely? What's wrong with you? Because they look at us as cash cows for the taking. And it's not me lying on nobody. It's me telling the truth as I see it and what they show. So, again, let me read something real quick to ease the mind of people thinking I'm slandering someone or anyone like that. I'm going to read the documentation.
Well, let me ask you a question before you do that, because I think we spoke about this before.
Okay.
Your name is in this so-called database, right? Is that a form of us becoming a citizen there but no longer a citizen here in the U.S. It's almost like we're immigrants here.
That's what I'm saying. What
Okay.
you're doing, what they're having you do is de-Americanize yourself with everything they ask for you to do.
Mhm.
And we're going to get into more of that because remember I told you about that Ghana card?
Yeah.
Where there was glitches with the Ghana card as soon as it started within 3 months time. And so now they're trying to say, well, we still have some hiccups with that a little bit. You know, let's talk about the potential of a Pan-African card that they're now wanting to ponder upon. And I'm going to play that video as well. So they're working very hard to try to ensnare us in every way they can. And they don't want us to be able to use our own money with our own safekeeping of our information. So they have this real big database in Ghana where they're hoping to store your personal information and claim you towards being the host that, or the hostee of the people that they want to regulate and be over. And if you are dumb enough to go to Ghana and give up all your personal information and your banking information and you get hacked and you wake up and all your money's gone, don't say you've never been warned, because I'm telling you right now, a lot of databases are breached. I've done various videos about that. And there's no recourse for you to get your money back. You can't go to Ghana and go get somebody because there ain't no law to go get. Okay, this is not America. There ain't no saving you whatsoever. That money is just gone bye-bye. And your information stored forever. So if you think that you feel like it's worth you doing that to yourself and your family, and you want to trust people that are real strangers to you that have bad intentions for you, that have a history of having bad intentions to you, and you want to trust them because what, 400 years past, we should just forgive and forget, but you first trust them? What have they given you to where they feel a threat for you having a relationship with them? Nothing. There is nothing that they gave you. Even if they say we have land, you have to build something on that land with money.
Yep.
Even if they say, you know, you can build here, you have to trust the locals to live and stay alive there. If you don't want to go to Africa and they are trying to group think you to death or mind trick you to death or pimp you out into believing into the fallacy of Wakanda City, and you spent up all your life savings and all these things. There was a story with this lady by the name of ES. She is in Ghana. Now she's happily married. But before she got happily married, she was dealing with this so-called prince there in Ghana. And she had some money that fortunately came from her mom, but unfortunately, she used it to help build up some type of living situation. Real nice, almost done. And then he started acting a fool once he knew her money was spent and she had built up whatever she built. They started arguing and all this and that. She had to walk away from it. She had to walk away from it, all the investment of that money. And she had to start all over again. And now she's built up a whole new situation. I pray to God that she's going to be a success story, because that's really jacked up if she's going to get burnt up again. I hope that it doesn't happen. But right now she's doing good. But let me read you, because like I said, I never wanted to have someone come for me or claim I'm slandering someone when I talk about these types of people. And I'm going to read you a documentation that came from the African Union. It came from their own. This letter that I'm about to read was submitted to someone in Washington as their way of saying, look, we fired her for these reasons. Whatever she says to you is not really the truth. We're just going to tell you behind the scenes and try to be diplomatic about it, but we don't want to blow this story up. But she's lying on us, talking about she's, talking about France, because what she was doing was running around on social media claiming that France was doing the most, which they are. France is forcing 14 African countries out the gate every year to pay $500 billion to France. That's how France thrives the way they do. Free $500 billion, not million, $500 billion just from 14 countries. And there's 54 countries. So, but you could do two things at once. You could tell the truth and lie to other people about what you want to deal with them on. And that's what she's doing. So this was written, and it came from Ethiopia, where the this office was. They sent it from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and it was dated. Let me see if I can find the date. Okay, November 15th, 2019. Okay, this says it's a little bit in France because that's how one of them are French, but it says communicate of the African Union Commission regarding the continued misleading campaign of the African Union former permanent representative to the United States of America. It says that the African Union Commission regrets the continuation of a misleading campaign on different media outlets regarding the circumstances of the end of tenure of Dr. Arikana Quia Quao as the African Union Permanent Representative to the United States of America. It says that this Dr. Arikana received a letter on the 7th of October of 2019, bringing her tour of duty to an end, in line with the terms and conditions governing her contract of appointment after serving 3 years as permanent representative of the African Union mission to the United States of America. Per the African Union internal rules, a high-level team was deployed to the African representative mission to the United States in Washington in October 2019 to carry out a supervisory audit of the office activities, facilitate the separation and the handover processes against the mandate of the office and the approved program activities. During this mission, the team found evidence corroborated by this Dr. Arikana that she initiated and implemented with African Union funds activities of the following entities that have no AUC formal approval or legal link to the African Union nor any of its organs. Let me explain that. So she used the logo of African Union. She made up different entities that she named, and she got money by gleaning different people claiming it belonged to African Union but was pocketing the money. So that's what you need to know. So she made up all these different initiatives or so-called organizations. She called one the African Union African Diaspora Health Initiative, another one called African Electoral Integrity Initiative, Miss African Union Pageant, African Union Trading Company, LLC, Wakanda One Village Project Initiative, African Diaspora Global Fund, African Diaspora Federal Credit Union in the New England, African Diaspora Youth Leaders Summit, Pan-African Diaspora Women's Association, Pan-African Diaspora Men's Association, Pan-African Diaspora Youth Association, and the African Diaspora Retreat. All those she made up. The team found that above entities, initiatives, associations, and or corporations have conducted the following without prior knowledge or consent and against the rules of the African Union. She utilized the African Union logo. She presented themselves as the official AU programs and or AU organs. She used the name of the African Union. She registered the office physical address of the African Union mission in Washington, D.C. as their legal and financial domicilium. Some of these entities are illegally registered to the U.S. Internal Revenue Services with diplomatic tax certificates applied by this Dr. Arikana. She raised or received funds in the name of the African Union. She collected donations from private sector entities and companies like Chevron Oil Company. The donations and funds were collected in the name of the African Union mission with no evidence that any amount collected were deposited in the African Union accounts, including, but not limited to, the amount of $10,000 donated by Chevron Oil Company, a private entity headed by a certain Melvin Foote, confirmed that they utilize the funds for unknown activities unrelated to the African Union or its mission in Washington, D.C. In this regard, before I go further, the amount for the total amount of how much was stolen was, I think it was around 380,000, give or take. I had another video that showcased another document, but I don't have that channel no more. I'm just letting you guys know what I remember. Okay, moving on. It says, in this regard, the African Union Commission has written confirmation from this Dr. Ericana that the aforementioned initiatives, activities were her own private engagements initiated by herself with no relationship to the African Union nor any of its organs. It was also founded that this Dr. Ericana was in violation of the African Union rules and regulations on unilaterally made diplomatic appointments to several personalities unknown to the African Union and for whom she sought the U.S. Department of State's recognition of these individuals, unknown to the African Union, as bona fide envoys of the African Union before her separation. They had to sign official letters revoking these appointments. So she appointed people in positions that she didn't have the right to appoint them to represent the African Union. She was doing a lot. It says that these letters were forwarded to the said individuals, and accordingly, the U.S. State Department was informed of this revocation. So they submitted this letter to the U.S. State Department. It says that since the separation of this Dr. Ericana in 2019, she has no further formal dealings with the African Union, and the African Union has implemented several remedial and preventive actions regarding the above mentioned issues. In this regard, the African Union Commission reserves the right to take any legal action if necessary against any use and or misuse of its name, logo, resources by any unauthorized individuals or entities. Finally, the African Union Commission reiterates that the claims made in social media suggesting that this Dr. Ericana end of tenure is due to any pronouncements or opinions she may have held during her 3.5-year tenure are blatantly untrue and unsubstantiated. This Dr. Ericana herself confirmed that she has never been sanctioned by the commission on any public pronouncement she has made during her 3-year tenure, nor has the commission ever thought the need to do so. On the contrary, Dr. Ericana maintained a public presence freely without fear or prejudice to voice her opinions and did so via AU channels. So she tried to say, to cover it up, oh, they're mad because I was talking against France. And this head person that's over the African Union is the puppet of the French president. So she tried to spin it and say, he's a puppet of France. I didn't do nothing that these people are accusing me of, but it's a permanent post. She should never have been fired if she wasn't doing nothing wrong. Apparently she was doing enough wrong for her to be gone. And that's why I talk about it. The reason why she's important, because she's friends with this now President Otto. She's married to a Ghanaian doctor. She has a house in Ghana. She has a house in Zimbabwe. She's originally from Zimbabwe. She has a house in Tennessee, an old plantation there in Tennessee. She loves the fact that she lives in a plantation home. She has a home also in Washington. She owns a business, an old, like, ancient type of like ball, not a ballroom, but it's kind of like a club, some type of club that she took over from these white people in South Africa too. So she's been very, very, very busy collecting property, land, with all these different things that she's done. Now she has $500 million bond. And she's no longer the African Union rep, but she introduced the African, the ADDI database right after she got fired, because she was about to unveil that before she was let go. She was blindsided. She didn't see that coming. She didn't see it coming.
Wow.
Yep. So, any questions?
I don't have any. If anybody in the comment section have
Yeah, before I go forward, I want to hear if they have a question or whatever. Like I said, this is not about hate speech. This is about the fact that we don't have anybody protecting us. No one really cares about what happens to us. I think that we should start caring because people are making decisions behind the scenes regarding our monies and potential reparations and representation. And people are claiming to represent us and telling us we are all on board and we're not. Okay, most of the stuff that's being done on social media is all for show and play. You do have people that can pretend to be us all over the place, all over the world. In fact, there was a story that one of the channels that I went to called Putney Princess. She is a Somalian. I believe she lives somewhere in the UK, and she allowed me to use her platform. And I didn't know she brought this story out because I was talking about a Pan-African that was busted last month for being accused of dealing with Russia. And this Pan-African organization is called African Socialist Euro. And they have been in existence for over 40 years and no one has ever heard of them. But they've been around the time after, you know, this diaspora term was trying to get some wiggle room, some movements in the 70s.
When did you hear of them?
Hear what?
Hear of that the person that you're talking about.
I heard about it once the news broke about him being arrested and accused of dealing with Russia. And I listened. Let me find that. I'm glad you said that because you can. That's a nice find because they had a, what do you call it? Like you have media all there, and you have like this guy at the podium breaking down all the charges. Let me put that. And he broke it all the way down to how it's a global known entity that's working with globalists, and in particular what do I call it, African socialists. Oh yeah, socialists. But they've been working with different globalists to undermine us, in other words. So I want you to hear a snippet of this and I'll be right back. And this is going to really open your eyes because this was a conference, news conference. You know how they breaking news, and they said that the investigation is not over. They have so many more people to figure out how they played a part in this big debacle. But listen to this real quick. I hope you can hear it. It takes a minute before it starts. Here it is.
St. Petersburg
Can you
Police
hear that?
Department assists the FBI.
I can hear it, but you know me, when they have a strong dialect, I don't understand.
It's an active investigation. But here this afternoon, we have Special Agent in charge, Mr. Walker, and U.S. Attorney's Office, Mr. Handberg, that will give you a brief synopsis of the case in our city.
He's about to start.
On Tuesday, a federal grand jury sitting in Tampa, Florida, returned an indictment charging Russian national Alexander Viktorovich Ianov with conspiring to use several U.S. persons as agents of Russia without prior notification to the Attorney General. As the indictment lays out in great detail, for a period of over 7 years.
What is
hold
the
on,
news
commercial.
story of January 6th?
Just
Many
started.
people have asked that question. Some people.
From December of 2014, continuing through July of this year, Ianov and his Russian government co-conspirators engaged in a malign influence campaign to sow discord, spread propaganda, and interfere in elections within the United States, all of which was orchestrated by the Russian Federal Security Service, known as the FSB. The indictment sets out the objectives of this malign influence campaign. Among the foreign policy objectives of Russian government leadership is to expand Russia's sphere of influence. Russia targets the United States and its allies, as well as other countries, to further that goal. Through these influence operations, Russia attempts to shape foreign perceptions and to influence populations in a number of ways. It seeks to create wedges that reduce trust and confidence in democratic processes. It attempts to weaken U.S. partnerships with European allies, to undermine Western sanctions, to encourage anti-U.S. and anti-Western political views, and to counter efforts to bring Ukraine and other former Soviet states into European and international institutions. To achieve those objectives, Russia influence operations often use social media targeted at U.S. and global audiences to sow discord and mistrust in the United States and other countries' political systems. This social media results in the dissemination of disinformation that is intended to confuse and mislead citizens in the United States, in Europe, and even in Russia itself, as well as to recruit U.S. persons to advance Russia's operational goals. Recruitment is an important and essential part of these efforts. Russia has recruited and forged ties with persons and groups around the world who are positioned to amplify and reinforce Russia's messaging campaigns in furtherance of its goals of destabilizing Western societies. These efforts have included the use of organizations to surreptitiously seek access to people in the United States and elsewhere to advance and promote Russian interests. That is what is alleged to have happened in the case that was unsealed earlier today. Everything that I've just covered is alleged in the indictment that was returned by the Tampa grand jury. The indictment is 24 pages. It details a conspiracy that occurred over the course of 7 years. It sets out over 50 specific acts committed by conspirators in furtherance of the conspiracy. In particular, the indictment sets out several examples of how Ionov, under the supervision of the Russian FSB, directed and controlled the activities of 3 U.S. political groups, including one right here in St. Petersburg, Florida, another in Atlanta, Georgia, and a third in Sacramento, California. Ionov's taskings to these political groups included the filing of petitions with the United Nations, the promotion of separatist and secessionist movements, the funding of protests to create turmoil within the United States, and the publishing of pro-Russia propaganda. 2 further examples of malign foreign influence relate to local elections here in St. Petersburg, Florida. In 2017, Ionov extended an offer of support and assistance to a St. Petersburg candidate for local office, including offering campaign finance. In 2019, Ionov stepped up his efforts to interfere in St. Petersburg, Florida elections, reporting to the FSB that he had been consulting with the candidate every week and that he had personally sent money to the campaign as well as participated in a campaign fundraising event. Ionov provided the FSB with a video of the local candidate delivering a campaign speech, and he reported on the percentage of votes the candidate received for the primary election. In September of 2019, Ionov's FSB...
You get it? So this is just one organization, like I said, called African Socialist Euro, and it's been around for 40-something years. It's an elderly Boule guy who was raving manic. Let me see if I can find a video of him giving his version of the story, but in cahoots with Russia. And there's a story where some of these people are pretending to be us, claiming to be upset about this and the other, and actually they're trolls. They're paid by Russia to pretend to be us, to cause havoc and pretend that we're upset about this and we ain't having this no more and we don't want to be here in America no more. We want to leave and all this stuff. This guy had the nerve to say that we don't deserve reparations because we were slaves. This owner of this job or this organization said this, the guy that got arrested. Let me find a part where he said this bullshit. I want you to hear. I want you to hear what he has to say. This bitch right here.
Person just didn't recognize it, but we were there, and that's why this revolution continues to live today. So I want to stop now and open it up, and but Oakland was a critical thing too.
Let me go to the question real quick.
The person is dead. Before they even announced it, we made a determination that by the time of his funeral, we, the African People's Socialist Party, will have defined who Huey P. Newton was. We initiated mobilizations. We had demonstrations through the streets of Oakland. Who killed Huey? Don't tell no lie. The government, the FBI. We had.
Here's okay. Let me find this stupid question that he asked. Or okay, here we go. Here we go.
Reparations. And I believe that this is something that's been created to cause conflict.
Yes.
Oh, this. Oh, he's asking a question about ADOS. Let me go back a little bit.
And that thousands of
no question. If you have a question, you can just stand up here. It'd be nice.
By the way, this happened in 2019. This is older video, but he was in his zone. He was already in the back pocket of all these globalists. And here he blazingly tells us how we don't need reparations. This is his response.
I just, good evening, brother. I've been listening and reading about this new conflagration since we were talking about reparations. And I believe that this is something that's been created to cause conflict with ADOS versus Angola. And now
that's not just versus the
party. No, I'm just saying now the Democrats have left into the fray maybe to fill a void. If you could talk some more.
Yeah, that's this ADOS. You may have heard of it. They call American descendants of slaves, right?
Yes.
Well, descendants of slaves shouldn't get reparations. I mean, if you were a slave already, what they owe you for, right? I mean, it's nonsense. It's a new concept that's been developed by enemies of black people, enemies of black revolution. They're suggesting.
And this motherfucker is a Pan-African. You heard him. What slaves need reparations for? Can he represent you or mine?
Heck no.
And this is a guy that's been indicted. The voice that you heard is this leader. His name is Amli. Let me find him in. I'll give you more history on his organization. I never heard of him until of this indictment of what he was doing and what he was about. But he's been around for a while, but no one's heard of him. Nobody knew of him. I didn't know of him. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? But apparently there's a lot of globalists that have paid a lot of money for them to be claiming to be representative of us. And they pick and choose where they're going to be and what they're going to say and all this. But they got caught up when they got a whistleblower pretty much out in them or what they were about. But this says the African People's Socialist Party is a pan-Africanist political party and organization working towards reparations for slavery in the United States, but apparently not to us. Identifying ideologically with African internationalism and African socialism, the party was formed in May 1972 by the merger of 3 Black power organizations based in Florida and Kentucky. And this Amli, whatever his last name is one of the original co-founders, leads the APSP as of 2019. So he's been around since 1972. I was 1 fucking years old. And he's talking about our reparations. If you were a part of the slave lineage, you don't deserve shit. And he is justifying why Africa should be trying to declare our reparations as I speak. Ghana did it last month. Let me find a clip of that before people are like, oh, I'm making stuff up, because y'all are not in the know. I've been on this for, well, you know, I've been on this for over a year.
Yeah.
Well, over 2 years, actually, now because of COVID. I've been around doing this for hardcore 2 years. But there's a video where you're going to hear the fakery of Pan-African. This woman that's about to be fake and acting all emotional is getting wind of this so-called news about this President Otto proclaiming that he wants our reparations. So she's a Haitian American. She's trying to save face type of thing. And so she's pretending to be so crazed by the notion of this President Otto talking for reparations when she's not supposed to get it herself because she's not from here. You know, people that choose to come here in the last 40, 50 years are not, they're not supposed to be eligible for reparations because you weren't here for all the things in which we are trying to get justice and reparations on. But listen to what she does, and she's going to play a small clip of this President Otto, maybe not in person, but he used two Americans, Black Americans, of course, to kind of side with him in this notion because there's a whole lot of agents among us. A lot of these people are Boule and Freemasonry, and they don't represent not you or I at all. Let's see him turn it up.
My people, get on the ocean. Every other day, if you watch the news, you see the poor folks trying to leave Haiti, getting on the damn boat, trying to get to America, trying to get to wherever else, Chile, wherever else, Brazil, and sometimes they don't make it, dying by the hundreds. A couple of months ago, y'all saw it was 10,000 of them, you know, trying to get over. Africa, where were you? Why didn't this speech come out where you came out and said, hey, those people under the bridge, those are our people. If you do not want them in America, please help us find a way to get them to us, and we will accommodate. Because you see, the problem is Africa's not even accommodating its own people. It's not accommodating. It needs to, reparations needs to be done to ourselves. We need to first do reparations within ourselves. Period. We're sitting here asking other people to do right by us when we're not doing right by us. Haiti, not too long ago, asked to be a part of Africa, and they were like, no, you're not a part of us, but yet Israel is a part of you? Yet these Arab countries that are enslaving you?
What she's mentioning is the African Union have certain seats that they can have people join into their so-called African Union recognition bullshit. And Haiti asked to be added and was declined because they ain't got no money. They accepted Israel and another country that's not even Black. But they denied Haiti, but that's pan-africanism for you, right?
They're a part of you? Come on now. Come on, okay.
Many have been calling for compensation for African countries that continue to suffer the consequences of slave trade. President Akufo-Addo added his voice to this call.
We believe the calls for reparations to Africa are just. The effects of the slave trade have been devastating to the continent and to the African diaspora. You cannot quantify the effects of such tragedies, but they need to be recognized. Africa and peoples lost out tremendously in that period, and its ripple effects are still being.
You know what he's talking about, the loss of? He's talking about the loss of people that partook in the slave trade were given care packages to stop slave trade. The Europeans did it, and anyone else that decided not to get American had it. The past, slave owners, they were compensated for the loss of slavery. And Africa has not been compensated in their mind. So what kind of apology are you hearing if they feel like they should be treated like the past people that enslaved us or supposedly an ancestor here in America? If you think that you should be treated like them, you were never sorry for it. And that's what they're doing. They're converging onto our reparations, knowing full well that we as Black Americans were never allowed. That's why they're not broadcasting for us fully to get this understanding. If you're not in the spaces of Pan-African or other spaces where Africans are, you're not going to get these clips to even understand it's happening. What's going to end up happening is that we're going to wake up one day and they're going to say, oh, your reparation went to Wakanda City. Yay!
Held right to this very day. Ladies and gentlemen, reparations for Africa and the African diaspora are long overdue. predictably, the question of reparations becomes a debate only when it comes to Africa and Africans.
He was speaking at the reparations and racial.
Again, we are not African. Again, we're not diasporas or diasporans, but you see how we use diasporans and African, a term that was made up years late because we were known as Negro, colored, mulatto, freeman, black, and this term was upgraded in 1988 by that bitch ass Jesse Jackson to attach that name to us, and this, for the reason that's happening right here. This has been a long orchestrated plan to colonize us, and that's exactly what they're doing. So the reason why we're not in the uproar is because it's not widespreadly heard that this is happening. And I've been paying attention to people talking that is not readily in front of our faces, that are not looking for this information. And so that's why I hope people would understand it is a hidden secret until they spring it on you and say, oh, this is what happened, y'all. Are you happy? Are you excited? All your money is going to Africa? Celebrate, y'all. Now listen to a Ghanaian. He did people dirty. He took over this bank in America. Check this out. Let me turn it up.
Small bank on Chicago's South Side. It's one of several under the jurisdiction of federal regulators right now, but customers are particularly concerned about this bank.
It's the last Black-owned bank in Chicago. In fact, it's the last one in the state. CBS 2 investigator Dorothy Tucker goes undercover to expose the bad banking practices, causing some customers to worry they'll lose their homes.
As a devoted daughter, Sharon Stewart carries on her late mother's commitment to support the last Black bank in Chicago. CBS 2 was there with hidden cameras on a recent visit.
It was a sense of pride. They invested in the community, and African Americans could get mortgages.
Illinois Service Federal Savings, ISF, had been supporting the community since 1934. But as big banks opened branches in Black neighborhoods over time, ISF, along with others, saw their customer base decline. But nothing hurt as much as this.
Now it's official, we are in a recession.
Customers defaulted on loans. Foreclosures skyrocketed. By 2015, ISF was under a federal consent order. What did that mean? The bank was in danger of closing and needed a savior. It thought it found one in 2016 in Dr. Papa Kwesi.
Group Kingdom has announced the completion of a transaction to acquire a bank, not here in Ghana, but in the United States of America.
The wealthy African owned a bank in Ghana with 170 branches and had agreed to pump nearly $9 million into ISF.
It provides us with an opportunity to extend our services and take advantage of the huge African American and the general banking population.
Under new ownership, ISF became GN. For Stewart, the name is not the only thing that changed.
This is my receipt.
For her mortgage, handwritten.
It's like the Flintstones. That's what I call it.
The Stone Age paper system is why Stewart pays her mortgage in person.
I always write the address, my mother's name.
She wants proof she paid.
The check number.
She doesn't trust the bank's record keeping. And if anybody has a good reason not to, it's Stewart.
I always cry about my mother and what they did to her.
Here's what they did. In 2018, GN Bank sold the mortgage on this house, her mother's house, along with many others, to York Properties. It just so happens that the chairman of GN Bank also manages York Properties.
Stewart had no problem with the transfer until this. 3 years later, a letter from lawyers with 4 frightening words. You are in default.
I was fearful first.
Fear turned into anger after a series of text exchanges with the bank manager. Stewart explaining the notice is erroneous. The bank manager insisting she had not been paying. Stewart adamant GN took her payments.
I told them that I think you're trying to force a default.
And of all things, the bank manager demanded the customer provide proof. Receipts. Little did he know.
I have receipts going back. I have all the receipts.
$60,000 worth. The bank backed off.
I was not going to let someone take my mother's property.
Anybody who saves all her receipts is not the kind of person to take a false accusation lying down. Stewart went straight to the feds.
I sent them all of this.
Turns out she wasn't the only GN customer complaining. These are just a few of the more than 20 complaints since Indom took over in 2016. And that's not all. Under the leadership of the very man who was supposed to save the bank, in 2020, it happened again. The feds dropped another consent order.
Story on some complaints from customers.
We were there when bank regulators showed up.
I'm sorry, I can't talk to you.
This new order cites some new concerns.
The consent orders also list concerns with the bank's management, concerns that the bank's managers have conflicts of interest.
The comforting news, says the former bank regulator, GN is financially stable. But the uncomfortable truth,
supervisors appear to believe that something has to change.
Robert Jansen is also looking for changes at the bank.
Since GN took over, it's been it's a downhill slide.
One that forced Jansen to take drastic measures. Every month, he hits the road for a 2-hour drive from his home in Marseilles, 110 miles, to the bank in Bronzeville,
110 back.
Just to make sure
my mortgages are paid and that I have the receipts to prove it.
Again, the bizarre system with paper receipts.
Each one of these pieces of paper is a mortgage.
In proof,
Okay, so 2018, the guy took over the bank. 4 months ago, this news broke. Last known bank of Black Americans taken over by a Ghanaian who thought he could, thought we weren't going to be responsible enough and have receipts so that he can shiesty out people of their own homes. But she was the smarter one that didn't play that game and kept all her receipts, like the other white guy is also the last guy that spoke too. But my point is that a lot of these mind setting time mentality, rather, of these Ghanaians that are among us or talking to us have that same mindset. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to get us caught up and caught off guard. And that's why I did this letter that I read a year ago, talking about specifically Ghana, talking about specifically Dr. Ericana, talking about specifically the Minister of Finance, who is the cousin of President Otto. Because when those indigenous banks took all those people's money, I was like, a year before they invite us to Africa? Coincidence? I don't think so. I don't think in coincidence like that. Any questions?
Nope, not for me. I got it.
Isn't that crazy though? Trying to take over someone's home.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not playing. So I'm gonna play now. Let me find I had went on, like I said, Putney Princess. She is a Somalian, and she showed and told the story of people living in Ghana perpetrating like they're Black Americans and causing the strife in which the indictment called for with the African Socialist Party. People pretending to be us on social media spaces, acting a fool. I'm talking about they African American. It's just unbelievable. Let me see if we can hear this.
Yeah, you would lose brain cells, Ross Moist, because you're not on my level, dude. I don't know if you fell down as a child. But
I don't know. I found this video, guys. It's just
okay.
So she about to show a video. I didn't even know she was about to show it. So I was caught off guard. Let me play it again so you can hear the whole part.
Yeah, you would lose brain cells, Ross Moist, because you're not on my level, dude. I don't know if you fell down as a child. But
I don't know. I found this video, guys. It's just
okay.
Frosty streets of St. Petersburg. This is a new hub of Russia's infamous trolls. A CNN investigation has found that Accra, Ghana, launchpad for an online operation to stoke racial tensions and stir up social unrest in the U.S. ahead of the 2020 election. On Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, hundreds of accounts churned out posts about issues such as racism and police brutality in the U.S.
For months now, we've been investigating this network of trolls targeting African Americans. Now we've actually come here to try to get the full story.
Bingo.
In the run-up to our journey, we have discovered that all of the accounts were connected to an NGO called Eliminating Barriers for the Liberation of Africa, known as EBLA or EBLA. Looking at the website, it was clear something was off. Parts of it still had dummy text. It was impossible to make an actual donation, and most mysteriously, one of the photographs had a Russian file name. Though the group claimed to be focused on issues like poverty in Ghana, its employees posted almost exclusively about the U.S. Some used incendiary language. America's descent into a fascist police state continues. Someone needs to take that senator out. Often they posted on real U.S. groups.
He said needs to take them out, like claiming that we're inciting wanting to kill a senator. These are people that are living in Ghana, pretending to be us, having the name of ADOS and FBA, talking about take the senator out so that our target gets bigger. And they're working in concert with Russia, like the other guy was. It's a global phenomenon that are emerging and surrounding us like we're goddamn sheep and they're goddamn wolves, and they're closing in on us with this rhetoric. And like I said, because we're the only ones not colonized to the empire of Britain and other colonists, they're like Africa has their shit fucked off like. That's why this movement online solely is happening, because you're not going to get millions of us to be talking about Pan-African, going back to Africa. That idea does not exist in our mentality. It is only the people that are linked up with secret societies or linked up with emotionalism and dumb as fuck that are trying to implode our existence here in America against our will. And so they're strategizing. They have lawyers, they have PACs. I found out they had a PAC where it's a lobbyist organization that talks about concerns regarding Ghana and their people that reside here in America. I know that when President Trump was trying to make it harder for immigrants to come in, and also people that were late on their visa that didn't upgrade it, he was prone to like deport them. And so this lobbyist group was talking about, hey, we went and lobbied against him deporting people that were expired from their visa and their student cards or whatever. And they won. They won against Trump deporting them, even though they stayed beyond the visa and expired. Why don't we have a pact, a lobbyist group? Because everybody wants us to be sheep for the killing, for the massacre. That's why you have this fake ADOS and this fake FBA. People are not doing real things with real lawyers and real PACs and real lobbyists for any real bill or legislation to matter. We're just sitting ducks waiting for them to tell us what they're going to do. And most of the time it's not going to be what we want. And that's exactly what's happening. So that's why I'm showcasing these types of mentalities are talking at us and telling us to invest, telling us to fly, telling us to try, and telling us to trust, telling us to spend money, buy land, build, trust, and wait and see. And when you don't have nothing left to show, oh well. And I feel in my heart of hearts that if enough of us end up there, they're going to start becoming refugees and migrants themselves. That's what I see. Because once you're bankrupt, once your money is put in databases and mysteriously all your life savings is gone, what are you going to do? What can you do if you ain't got no supportive family that's going to really ride for you? If you don't have a family like that and you were only responsible and had money, but that money, say you had 100,000 and all that money's gone one day, you wake up and you're in Africa. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
What can you do? So we have everybody circling us. Remember that guy I told you that was trying to be a fake baby face producer?
Yeah.
Don't you know that now he has been made a chief there in Ghana?
What?
Bringing his bullshit more into focus with that Adua coin I told you about. Yeah, he was just knighted as a chief yesterday or the day before yesterday. Yep.
Oh wow.
So all these people are now getting their titles of chieftaincy. He's a Nigerian, by the way. Now he's a Nigerian, Ghanaian chief for us to steal the money from. He is the chief of theft for us.
Oh wow.
He's a Nigerian. Since when does a Nigerian become a chief of Ghana? Unless he really is playing an integral part in what his role is. You don't hear nothing about nothing like that. Now, speaking of which, now that I said that, this is bringing to mind, there was a global citizenship concert in Ghana recently. And it's called Global Citizen. They're trying to one world order us into the notion of being a global citizen. So they had a concert, and guess who was there? I'll let you hear a snippet of who was there and how he went to the dungeons and was all emotional as usual. They're using all these celebrities to try to make us believe that this is the way we need to go, and they think that we're so gullible like we used to be, but we're not the same thing as before. But let's hear his stinking ass, shall we?
Proceed.
Oh, there'll be more than that. Let's get better than that. They did play a little sorry snippet. What the hell? Hold on. I could do better than that. Oh, surely you could do more than that. Did you guess who it was?
No.
Oh boy. Okay, let me just I thought he was gonna play a little bit of what he was talking like. Like, what the hell? That was whack as hell. Oh my god, that was disappointing. Hold on. Come on now, you gotta bring more fire to convince us. Come on now. Come on.
All around the world, seen a lot of faces, been a lot of places. I like these beautiful African faces that I'm seeing tonight. On this next one, it's going to require a little crowd participation. Yeah.
That sounds a little bit like Usher.
It's Usher.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
I was right.
Uh-huh.
Okay, hold on. Let's get one more time. I want to hear y'all sing it. Y'all sing it. Go.
It's going in and out.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
This is the way I see you in my dreams. But 100 pictures all for you. You know my back will fall. I'm a kid again. I feel like 13. What a beat. Since we fell in love, girl, I'll be the groovy baby. Oh, you are my superstar, yeah. Oh, man, your autograph, signing right here on my heart.
So this don't get copywritten or nothing like that. But that's him prancing about on the platform. They're in a car called Global Citizen. He's married now to a Ghanaian woman. So he was invited to perform and trick us into believing this global citizen madness. And why it's madness is the next ridiculous thing I'm about to play. But the fact that they're making up a Pan-African card, you can't make this stuff up. Okay, they're really on desperado mode. They claimed a year or so ago they were never going to borrow money from the IMF bank no more, or World Bank, or none of that. And then they came back crawling and crying to the IMF bank about needing to borrow millions of dollars again. And I guess the IMF is pretending like they're not trying to hurry up and give them money. So now they're doing this scheme of global citizen and having these apologists, motherfuckers that are not seen or heard, that you have to link up with a link on a Zoom call to see this so-called apology, because they want you to help be debt slaves for whatever they do. What they do, they took all this money, pocketed it, and they got to pay it back plus interest. And who they want to come to? Us. They're calling us to help them pay. And here is their introduction to this new, and it's called End Time for Visa and MasterCards in Africa, as Ghana is looking forward to Pan-African card. Listen.
Honorable Esla Owusu Ekufo. She is the Ghanaian minister responsible for communication and digitalization, and she has urged African fintech companies to create our own international online payment systems to stop our dependence on international brands like MasterCard, Visa Card, and American Express for e-payments.
Because the entire continent is going digital. And that is the new area where you can put your money. I've said several times that I don't see why those of us on the continent still have to use Visa and American Express credit cards for our transactions and pay the user fees for every transaction that we use those cards for. Why can't we also develop our own local payment solution for the continent, which will enable all these huge transaction fees to stay on the continent? 2% per transaction, that's steep. Some charge up to 3.5% per transaction. So just imagine the number of times you use your credit card in or outside the continent and where all those monies are going to. And if we can't, using our own local tech industries and fintechs, develop our own payment solutions, which will enable all these monies to stay on the continent and to be
all these monies to come on to the continent, and all your information to be stored in a database, and all the trust that you're going to give these people, and see how it ends up. Someone said that Usher is Haitian. I never heard that one before. Well, you guys can have his ass. I don't care. I heard he was burning anyways. I don't care even more. My point is that they said he gave someone allegedly herpes. I'm gonna say allegedly. So
yes, please say allegedly.
That's what the rumor was a few years ago. But anyways, they're using these superstars. I remember hearing Ludacris claiming he was going to become a citizen somewhere in Africa. Was it Gabon or somewhere else? And also Samuel Jackson was supposed to be having citizenship somewhere. Of course, they have money. They can do whatever they want. They can go back and forth, but they can survive like that. We don't have long hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars and this and that. I remember at one point, even Stevie Wonder was claiming that he wanted to go back to Ghana, and then he changed his mind. But the point is that it's nothing more than a lick. They are extreme debt, and they're putting it all on COVID. They're putting it all also on the war with Ukraine and Russia, because Ukraine, unfortunately, was the bulk of their way of getting grains into the country, wheat, barley and all that was provided by Ukraine. But since the war, Africa really got hit up. But they, in addition to that being the truth, they stole money before that even hit the fan. So it's kind of like they're using that to camouflage what they already did initially. And now they're trying to say, well, you African Americans, you're of our lineage, we would like to reconnect to you, and we want to be the host of you and everything connected and attached to you. We want to be the ones like Japan did to help get them reparations against the United States, what Jewish people did to get monies from around the globe and in the United States, even though it didn't even happen here. They're claiming that because of a host country provided that to be in the way in which they're supposed to operate, but we already know how they are. They don't know how to do right by their own people. Why would we trust our money to them or reparations to them? Well, especially when they were the ones behind slavery. So, like I said, it's about colonization. Once we don't have no recourse for any reparations or any opportunity for anything other than asked out is how they want us. And when many of us get asked out and we don't have options, a lot of people are going to be looking and acting more like refugees and migrants themselves, unless they now take advantage of the fact that you are an American, that you should not allow yourself to be emotionally manipulated like they're doing. Their apology is not sincere. They only care about what they can get from you, and they want all that you got. They want everything attached to you, including your name and information in their databases. So if you have traveled to Africa and Ghana before and never had to be a part of their system and what they're trying to upgrade you to have to do, I don't know when it's coming, but it's coming, because that's what they've been talking about with the Ghana card. It just had a couple of glitches, and they claimed that, oh, it's not going to happen with foreign Ghana card being operational just yet, but they took the money though while you got the card and gave up your information though. Even though it wasn't operational, you still gave up that money and gave up your information though. So you were like the first of many, whoever believed them the first time to give up that information, they still have it. They still have your shit. And they're going to upgrade it until they get it good. What they have been talking about, they want to treat or have us treat Ghana like our Mecca. Like when you hear these Islamic people that do their Mecca, like Malcolm X did a while ago, when he went to, I don't know exactly where they go, but is there a place called Mecca where they gave homage to Allah? And they're saying that on the order of that, they want us to treat Ghana like our Mecca, like we're supposed to go to the dungeons with flowers and presents for kings and stuff, and kiss their feet, and we'll hope to get patted on the back and the head to get them to say that you're African and you belong while you spend money, and then you can go back home if you can, as long as you got that money. But when that money's out, again, you will not be anything resembling what you could have been had you left them alone. If you don't leave them alone, I mean, like I said, I'm just coming as the warning, because you have many other places that they don't have that in place yet. Stay clear of West Africa, period. If I had to go to Africa, like to survive, I would go to South Africa, honestly. But I ain't never going to Africa. I'm gonna take my chances at Canada first or Mexico first and go somewhere else. But I'm saying if the whole earth was torched and only Africa remained, I would go to South Africa and take my chances there, or I wouldn't go to West Africa. I just would not, because this same President Otto is the one that's over ECOWAS, which is the western part of Africa, their little organization that's supposed to bind them regionally. And they come out with these visas ideas and passport ideas. They've been circulating different ideas to try to incorporate us, is what they're doing. So the first go around was the Ghana cards. Now they're saying, oh, hold up, it's not operational just yet. And now they're talking about the I keep saying the panda, Pan-African card. I want you to hear a little bit more about how she talks very bold about it's on us to develop Africa, nobody else but us. But she's insinuating
Who's us?
This is the Minister of Communications and Digitalization. They are trying to be the first African country to have a workable digital and mobile existence. Because if you go to Africa and Ghana, you're not going to be able to use your phone. They're requiring that you get SIM cards from them to use there. So that's going to result in you giving up information and money to utilize their SIM card, and they don't want you to use your bank outside of their bank. And if you can't use your bank, you got to give up your information for you to get funds again through them. That's what they want.
I was hoping you would bring that up. You would bring that up.
They're going to require that you don't have access to use your own car and stay separate from them. They don't want that. If you're black and you go there, they're definitely going to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry to tell you, but you're not going to be able to access your card like that. You're going to have to come over here and sign up for this card. It's a quick process. It's secured. It's safe. Sign here and put your name and address, number. Oh, your mom's first name, your dad's first name, your children's name, where you work. Oh, your banking card information too, the routing number and all that stuff, so that you can get your money, you know." And they got your information forever. They have your information forever. So listen to this woman, how she is trying to bash people that is listening, how they need to get to getting money no matter. Again, these people already stole money. They're good, but they don't want to pay no money back. So they need more people to pay to have them keep their funds in their pocket and wherever else they done hoarded the money.
And the Bank of Ghana registered over 71 fintech companies in the country. Also provides an excellent opportunity for investors to explore and help expand the sector, because the entire continent is going digital. And that is the new area where you can put your money. I've said several times that I don't see why those of us on the continent still have to use Visa and American Express credit cards for our transactions and pay the user fees for every transaction that we use those cards for. Why can't we also develop our own local payment solution for the continent, which will enable all these huge transaction fees to stay on the continent? 2% per transaction, that's steep. Some charge up to 3.5% per transaction. So just imagine the number of times you use your credit card in or outside the continent, and where all those monies are going to. And if we can't, using our own local tech industries and fintechs, develop our own payment solutions, which will enable all these monies to stay on the continent and to be used for the development of our continent. And that's something that I keep challenging our young tech entrepreneurs to come up with the useful solutions that will enable us to do that. We've done that with mobile money. We've done it with mobile money. We can do it with credit cards as well. I would love for us to expand the assembling and manufacturing and supply of computers, mobile phones, and other accessories locally, and it is doable. So if you have partners who are in that sector, please come. I'm sure Free Zones will happily provide you with, they talked about technology parks that are being established all over. We'll happily provide you with the land to set up a device assembly plant to supply for our local consumption and for the rest of the sub-region. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, no one will build our country for us than ourselves. They will come.
And she's looking around crazy when she says that because the claps are not loud enough. You should see her little beady eyes circling around.
That is why this diaspora engagement is so absolutely critical. You have family back home. You still identify as Ghanaians, no matter how long you've stayed outside. It's still in your blood. Let's build our country together. Let's put our skin in the game. Let's own the development of our own country. Let's work with partners. I'm not saying we don't need them. Nyanse and Yobaku I said that yesterday. Let's find willing partners. But whereas expats will repatriate whatever profits they make, you will keep some in your country, and your children and children's children and your families will benefit from it. It's incumbent on all of us to know that we are all in this together. If Ghana works, I'm sure many of you would quite happily.
Very interesting word, if, right? There is no guarantee that anything will work. They already had issues with this Ghana card, which this woman also was a part over that. She's a part of the communications and the digitalization of anything pertaining to the cards in which she talks about. So she did also talk about the Ghana card. And then 3 months later, I'll find that video if I can. She said, oh, by the way, y'all, this Ghana card is not working for foreigners right now internationally. It's going to take longer than we thought on. So like I said, everybody that hurried up because they had deadlines. Remember how I told you they were saying that it was supposed to be a deadline come April. Then it was a deadline come June. And within that span of time, 3 months span of time, people that are living there in Ghana or intending to visit there, they were requiring that you also get this new card because they said, oh, our system is about to be upgraded. You might as well get it while you're here, and you're not going to really be accessing your bank if you don't. So those ones took chances and ordered these cards online and went through the whole process for it not to work. But meanwhile, they still got the money. They still got your information in their database. Nonetheless, they win-win. You lose-lose. And didn't even have access to use the card that you submitted all your information on. So they're like, oh, well, we're still glitching a little bit. So let's ponder over this Pan-African card, since that seems to be the going thing to do, and say Pan-African. We're the Pan-African, the front runners for this Pan-African movement. Ghana will be the leader in that. And they're trying to lead us to debt and for the opportunity for hiccups to happen. And like I said, if you're the smart one that say got blessed to have $100,000 or more, or life savings, or something happen where you have generational wealth or anything like that, and you so happen to go there ambushed, because they're intending to catch people off guard, trust and believe that. They're not going to be forthcoming. I'm the one that's out here figuring out and seeing what they're saying without saying it to us. But they're going to have the excuse, well, we did go to various places. You could have looked us up to find it out. But most people are not that interested to dig and assume things. They're going to assume that the way that they traveled before would be the same way it will always be. And they're wrong. They're dead wrong. So one of those times, they're going to get off that plane and they're going to be told in the airport, we have a new system, ma'am or sir. We need you to register this and that. Or I'm sorry to tell you and break the news, but you won't have access to use your phone, access to be able to make calls, or even make a call to your bank, because we're disallowing those accesses at this time. We're only allowing our new system. And now that you're here, you'll be the first ones to be a part of our family with the database. So sign here, your fingerprint, your name, number, kids. And they're even going to ask things, or ask for you to give up your maiden name, your mama's name, where you were born, man, everything. And think about insurances. If someone wanted to really scam and put a policy out on you, you have all the information you gave them. There's so many different ways you can use someone's information. Is unbelievable, actually. Insurances, just think about what they do to rappers now. All these rappers ended up murdered. A lot of those people got insurances out on them. Upon their death, people are getting rich behind the scenes that you are not aware of. A lot of people are more dead. And that's just the reality that we're finding ourselves in as Black Americans. Everybody is vulturing us. You know what? Have you seen vultures overhead? They never go and attack nothing, but once a caucus is there, how they swoop in and tear it up until it's to nothing.
Yeah.
That's how they're treating us. And it's so sad that while I know this truth, most of us are so oblivious. They're just stuck on stupid. They're still arguing and pretending to be gangsters or pimps and thoughts and beefs. And I mean, it's so sad. It's like, man, y'all don't even know how y'all getting lined up. And not to say that they're interested in Africa, but they should be also telling their friends and family not to go. I'm not just talking about the ones that don't care. What about your family and friends and neighbors? Wouldn't you want to be helpful to these people about the danger of what Ghana's attempting to do? This information is hidden unless you have been up on it like I have. You didn't hear about the declaration of Ghana wanting to take reparations. You didn't hear about this so-called apology because it was not on mainstream media.
I didn't until you told me about it. I haven't heard about it till you told me either. So
that's what I'm saying. They're doing things secretly, stealthily, like a secret, hidden, like agenda that they only want the ones that kind of like is keeping up with it. And the only ones that's really keeping up with it are the ones that are Pan-African. But I'm different. Okay, I don't want people representing me that's not me. And so I have gone to places I ain't supposed to go, spaces I'm not even invited.
Yeah.
I run up on platforms and let my presence be heard. I let it be known that the jig is up. I really don't care who likes it or not because I'm just telling my truth. But I'll be damned if I'll have like a Pan-African Strikes Back Again or all these different platforms that claim to be Pan-African speaking for me, talking about our reparations should go towards moving back to Africa and land or any other bullshit like that or citizenship, because that's what they're trying to make it seem like. They're trying to groom us with the notion of repatriation is reparation. Like, oh, repatriation and learning the culture and learning the food and getting a family and buying land and making a home here is your reparations. Bitch, I didn't say I wanted to be bothered with you. The fuck you mean? Bitch, just give me my money. I'll tell you if I'm coming. You know, you can invite somebody, but if they decline, are you still going to be inviting them when they said, I don't want to, thank you for your invitation. I really appreciate you thinking about me, but I'm not interested. It should be the end of that, right? But it's not.
It's almost like you sending your money to these leaders and they're living well, driving Mercedes Benz and all this other stuff, right? And it'll be the same thing if you send your money on over there to Africa, but you're starving and struggling here.
Exactly. And then limiting your options here. Like I said, just like the Bible story of Esau and Jacob comes to mind, and how Jacob was, I guess, the one foolish enough to, or was it Esau that got hungry, that gave up his birthright? I think it was Esau that gave up his birthright. He went hunting, and he came back wanting some soup or something, or stew. Was it him that accepted the stew?
Girl, you talking to the wrong one about that Bible.
I get them mixed up. One of the brothers had the birthright, and the other brother, the older brother had the birthright because he has to be the one that's the elder. I think it was Esau. I hope I'm right. But he was so hungry when he came back from hunting that his younger brother, Jacob, was making stew, and it smelled so good, and he wanted a taste, and he said, can I have a bite? And he said, no, this is my shit. And Esau was like, what do I have to give you to have that stew? And he said, your birthright. He says, what do I care about the birthright as hungry as I am? He took the bowl of stew, ate it, and then his mother helped trick the ailing father to make him believe that was Esau. She gave him hair that resembled, and the brother that was hairy, that was the hunter. He let him wear some of his dirty clothes that smelled like him, even though he was more frailer. Ended up tricking the father into giving the blessing of the birthright. And that's where we are right now. Literally, we're playing out that story. So instead of us understanding that there's snakes in the grass that are trying to line us up and make us become prey to vultures. They're inviting us for stew and peppered goat stew. In exchange for that, you're giving up your information. Eventually, this is going to come to that time where you're not going to be able to escape. Once you travel 18 hours to go to Africa, what recourse would you take if you hear this new system and you don't want to give up your information because you felt like you were snubbed and tricked and ambushed? Do you have the money to turn back around and leave immediately? If they are in the airport and that's the system, and you don't have a means to hurry up and go back on the plane, what are you going to do? You're ambushed. What can you do? So you're going to stay the whole time. And if they just say, I'm sorry, sir, but we don't have a system that accepts your card anymore, you still have to use it to even get another ticket to leave. Wow. There's no escape, buddy. Are you going to still enjoy yourself with the people and look at that dungeon with your folks abode? What are you going to do? That's going to be really fucked up, though, when that happens in mass number. It's really going to be fucked up. But what I encourage Pan-Africans to do that want to preach to us every damn day about trusting, why don't y'all go to Ghana? Let it happen. I say wait till December or January and please go. Please go then. I'm pretty sure they'll be ready for that ass. Pretty sure they'll be ready for that ass. But our birthright is what our ancestors did in America. And we can't give it up like that. An apology is not enough. That's not really real. Fucking land where I don't want to go is no good. You telling me to travel when you're looking for my information and my banking information is not acceptable.
Right.
So fuck it. Go to France.
That's the only one you can come up with. Okay.
Go to France, go to UK to visit, I guess you can go to Caribbeans, but it's so dangerous there right now. I know that unfortunately it's not funny that Haiti is having protesting issues. They had a president that was assassinated. They have a fill-in president that doesn't want to leave power, and they're not helping the people out on the ground. There's no help, there's no aid. I get it. But where are these Pan-Africans at when you need them the most?
Somewhere just talking.
That's what I'm saying. And the reason why they're continually talking because we are that link on what they deem as success once we're colonized. That's all it is. It's not about Black folks because people right now in Africa is having a fucked up time. You know, there's a famine going on in Somalia again. It happened in 2010. It's happening again right now. You have a genocide going on right now in Ethiopia still. You have the coup that just happened in Burkina Faso. You have the people of Ghana that are struggling behind the inflation of these people coming over there, raising the rate of everything. And the people that are making so much money a day just to feed themselves are not able to do what they used to do. And they're crying all over the place and they're having a bad time right now. And Nigeria was just at the United Nations begging for debt forgiveness just 2-3 days ago, asking to be excused of the debt that they got because they already spent the goddamn money or gave it away to all their family and friends.
Yeah,
that's what they do. And they want us to go and take that as a way to prove our what? I don't get it. I don't get it. So yeah, that's where this is at. This is where this is going. I'm hoping to inform people on the types of people. That's why I brought up Dr. Ericana and this President Otto and understanding $100 million is missing from their oil proceedings. Just no one knows nothing there in their parliament or anything like that. I mean, come on. How can you just have $100 million missing? Isn't that a red flag for all of us to be like, come on?
Should be.
And then you have this Euro guy who says that our reparations are not deserving because we were slaves. And this is the mentality of Pan-Africans. They don't intend for your money to make it to you. They don't intend that. And it's so messed up that FBA and ADOS has gotten in the hearts and minds of people that are not aware that this is nothing more than a gimmick on social media. The only thing that matters is what you can prove with legislation, drafting bills and stuff. And the only bill that they're willing to draft is you leaving America and going to Ghana.
Okay, so I'm trying to understand something. So what you're saying that the pan-Africanists don't want the Americans today to have respiration, only to have it sent to Africa instead.
Mm-hmm.
So they feel, but wouldn't that be a slap in the face for the African people that was brought over here, that was enslaved over here, to make over here for what it is? Why do it have to go straight to Africa when our people
I'm saying it's they're concealing the real rationale behind their argument. They're saying it's about them being the host for all of us that are not representative or represented properly in America, but it's not the truth. That's just a cover story. The real reason is that their argument is like, look, we have been done also by colonization and being tricked into France's deal with $500 billion for 14 countries there in Africa. Do we, Black Americans, have anything to do with them signing or being forced to sign this colonization pact? No. We were the ones, let them tell it, were victimized by the slave trade. So the victims don't have nothing to do with working out your differences on how you got stabbed in the back by colonizers. You were in the bed with these bitches having a good time long ago before they stabbed you. You had parties with them. You were drinking and lapping it up until they decided to have at it on your ass. And now you want us to feel guilty behind you getting got? How is that going to work out? How does that work? So that's why they have this new movie called Woman King. I don't know if you heard about the controversy behind the fact that the Homie Kingdom were a woman's type of tribe that held it down supposedly, but they held it down for slave trade. They held it down to enslave so-called Africans to the Europeans, and they beheaded people. They can use cannibalism on some people, sacrifices on some people, drinking blood and all this, raiding different villages and that, and they cleaned it all the way up to make it seem like warriors of that time were, righteous types of people that never did nothing wrong. They were just standing their ground against whitey and pristine and in the sunset with their irises looking up at the sun and God. Like, what the fuck? That's not what happened. And so they're painting a pretty picture right now to make us be indoctrinated yet again with the lie through movies. They did the Wakanda first, Black Panther. Now they're doing it with Woman King. They're trying to entice women, Black power, magic girl, black girl magic bullshit talk, which, I'm not backing no lie. That the homie is not our fucking homie. They're not our, I'm saying, I'm not revving. I don't think that their kingdom exists like to the capacity where it was. They're in Benin, they're in Nigeria, but they've never taken down even the statues of past enslavers, the traders. There was a Madam Tenubu who is somewhere in Nigeria in a statue form, and she was one of the ruthless slave traders, a woman. They're in Nigeria.
The only thing about some of these stories that I be watching and stuff, one thing is for sure, and it is a fact, and that is women has always been warriors, and they're still warriors. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. You have a lot of women today, and this is one of the things that I agree with Cookie with, that women always jumping in the front to fight for these men. So again, here we go again. Women still fighting. So women have always been warriors, and they will continue to be warriors.
Yeah, but we're the different type of warriors. We're righteous warriors, okay? We never did nobody dirty, collectively there are individuals that have done people dirty because they're mentally deranged now, but collectively we never did nothing to nobody. We've always been victimized. You know, we didn't collectively go and harm Mexicans or Africans or Jamaicans or nobody. Individuals did here and there, you know, bullshit gang type of stuff, yes. But I'm saying us as a people have never sought out to scam or harm people on the magnitude of what has happened to us. And we don't give our ancestors credit to respect them enough for what they died for, which is for us to have the choice to survive, not to just be told what to do like slaves of old. They earned us having a choice. And so when we forget about our real people here of America and we give people that is not deserving of trust and respect like that because they never did nothing for us. Now, individually, I can like some African people, okay, over the phone, or even if I had seen them in passing, okay, individually, yes, but millions of them, that's a stretch. 1.3 million in Africa, and everybody that's been scamming and trusting them with my money and my information, I can't do. I won't do. Not for them like that. I'd rather see the Africans that are feuding among themselves, the Ghanaians against Nigerians. There was an issue, a controversy with Usher. And one of the things he did when he did his songs, he had promoted, I guess, a Nigerian on the stage with him in Ghana. And they were upset about him showing up with a Nigerian. So what kind of unity can you have when they're still tribal? I mean, what's going on here? And we will always be on the bottom. We would never hold office to have presidency. We wouldn't want it because the colonizers are coming to do what they do. Replace your ass. Just like Burkina Faso happened. Who wants to go live somewhere and in a matter of a year, you can have a coup? Who wants to go do that? Or who wants to go somewhere where you can have insurgents, Islamic extremist insurgents pop up and bust through the hotels? They have had killings in hotels before, where they had ransacked a hotel in Mozambique about 2 years ago. And recently there was a killing at a hotel in Somalia. So it's undetermined on how safe you will be trusting to even visit. You're just lucky if you get away with it for now. But at any time, that border is not secure, and it will never be secure. They don't have workable military that can oust like people overhead dropping bombs on your head. What can you do with a gun? You know, they have France is there, UK is there, America's there, Russia's there, China's there, India's there, everyone's there. Colonizers are there. Even people that partook in slave trade is still going on today. I've done many videos about the fact that slavery never ended. It's just got a new name, and the fact that there was a leakage that came out around 2017 there in Libya. People were showcasing, being auctioned there in Libya. The Africans that were trying to get to UK or wherever they're going, they have to go through certain ports or whatever, and they ended up finding themselves in slavery. And some of these people that are luring these people to go to like Saudi Arabia, they pretend to want some housemaid or whatever like that. You have Nigerians and other people in different parts of Africa that go over there. They were told by an agent that everything's fine, this is official, and those same agents that work for the government, mind you, take the passport of these people that get off that plane and throw them into forced labor in Saudi Arabia. Those are a lot of stories that I've shown and I talked about. It's still going on today. There was a smuggling operation that happened in UK last year, I believe, or 2 years ago. There was a long, like, semi truck, or it's a cooler, and they found all the people in there dead. because they left them in there too long and they died.
Mm.
Either it got too hot or too cold. I can't remember right now. I probably think it was too hot. I think they ran out of air.
Mm.
They all died. They were from, I want to say, either Vietnam or the Philippines, either or, like that.
Mm.
Yeah, they have you come, then they tell you when you get off, either they take your passport and force you into labor, forced labor individually, or they tell you, cram you in these unpredictable situations and you can end up dead. And that's happened more than once. I think there was another recent case that happened, but we don't concern ourselves with things like that because we don't know what's going on out there. And I've been warning people that the passport that you have is greatly sought after. Many people would love to be you. Many people would love to steal that from you. Many people would like to get your information and pretend to be you, or again, however they can get money from you is good enough. And like I said, if they get your information, they can use it more times than once because they have it forever. You can't change your Social Security. I mean, I guess you can go through the process, but still it's going to be a big headache to change your whole life like that, to get out of what the potential is, what others are capable of doing. I reported a year and a half ago about this Lou Major, maybe not that long ago, maybe a little bit over a year. But this YouTuber, his name is Lou Major. He's a Haitian American. He frequented African spaces and Pan-African spaces on American channels. One in particular, Dynasty Mir, better known as Search of Uru. This guy is a tourist guide. And so this big-lipped liar, Haitian American, ugly as fuck. I don't know why all these Pan-Africans are so, look like mosquitoes or in the making of turning into a goddamn fly. I don't understand it. But anyways, I digress. He was on this platform. He was on this platform, berating Black Americans about how lazy we are. We don't get our shit together. We need to join money together. Just going in every chance he got. And he convinced dummies to believe that they can open up a bank together. He convinced these dummies that they can buy and purchase land in Nigeria and Ghana. He convinced these dummies that he even lived in Ghana.
You there, sis? I don't know what happened. She dropped off. She'll come back. This is some stuff, man. Ooh-wee. Good for her. Because I don't know where she went. Wow. All of this stuff that y'all hearing, I'll be learning this stuff. I'll be learning through my sister, 4Black. She keeps me posted with what's going on a lot. Because the things that I do is different from what she does. So I'm over here doing a whole lot of other stuff. So she is my information person, if you want to say it that way, but she keeps me in tune with what's going on. I have to stay in tune because I am who I am, which is, universal, right? So I wouldn't be universal. Okay, she's coming back. Okay,
Man, I don't know what happened, but my phone was on the charger and it went all the way down to 0 and didn't show up at all. There's nothing but the devil. But again, what I was talking about, he convinced them that he lived in Ghana. He convinced them to buy land and pretend to have a bank, and he stole $500,000 from mostly Black Americans. Some other Jamaicans got too, but primarily Black Americans helped him become $500,000 richer. And when I had talked about this guy months before it happened. I said, look, he is shiesty as fuck. He's like a car salesman. He is like an oil salesman. You know, I was going in on him, calling him a big lip liar and all this type of stuff. I was going in. I really hated him above everything, and I could not understand why he was always getting airplay on this channel. And then I would say 3-4 months later is when the news broke about him scamming all those people. But I warned everybody. I'm telling you, my warnings, I get ignored, but I always get confirmation. I warned about Dr. Ericana, before she was fired, and then I got confirmation why she was fired. I warned them about him. I warned them about Black X. I warned them about all these different things, and everything is coming out. It's like, it's not a figment of my imagination, but everybody still believes that even if you tell stories and show evidence, that you got to try nonetheless, because the Black race depends on you. And fuck that fucking Black term. I am an American. I'm not going to be a diaspora, because I'm not. That's a new term that was just given to us, the last 30 so years ago. And it's just not going to fly for me. Sorry.
You see what's on the banner, sis? Somebody wants to know what happened to your channel.
Oh, I was what's up, GK? Thank you for appearing. It got shut down because I was telling too much truth about Hope Giselle, the transgendered woman who kind of triggered me, talking about she can represent women's issues, and I laid in on her. I wouldn't say I went berserk. I just kind of I'm doing right now. I show videos, I tell the truth, I show documentations, I tell the truth. I'm not saying nothing that's not shown. I'm not just going on a tangent, rambling and talking crazy and cussing and screaming to the mountains. No, that didn't happen. But I also correlated the fact that our identity is up for grabs, and many people are silencing us to even speak enough, because we're either being called Islamophobic, or we're being called, now I got called transphobic. I'm like, how the fuck I get called transphobic? I used to be gay. I just don't like liars. What the fuck? You know, I don't respect nobody lying.
You said you what?
Huh?
Let me go on mute. I'm over here cracking it. Let me go on mute.
I'm just saying, like, I'm not doing nothing other than showcasing the proof. And the thing is that I'm a lone wolf. I'm a loner, and I get interested or irked to investigate on why I feel irked. That's just been me most of the time. It's like a puzzle I gotta figure out, or it's gonna keep me up at night. And that type of thing happened when I got irked about pan-Africanism. I got irked about different people speaking on behalf of us, and nobody like me was up there to let it be known, like, bitch, you don't represent me. So I became that. I showed up like that. I was like, you don't represent me. Use an agent, use a fraud, use a bitch, use a hoe.
I am not doing this with you today. I'm not doing this with you today.
But I had to, because it's like, you know, I wish that the people that speak better than me, you know, there's so many people that are gifted, the gift of gab. They have this energy, they have this aura. They can get, you know, popping, you know, like Tariq Nasheed, even though I don't like what he's doing and how he's pimping. I mean, still, he makes you laugh. And some things he says is truthful, but he's just keeping us at bay to do something. And that's what I've noticed. I noticed that with Yvette Carnell, in my opinion. Like, everybody else can believe what you want to believe, but when you have Ghana, let me let you hear a tidbit of this. When you have Ghana, who have a pact, a lobbyist group, and you have lawyers and everybody else in the ear of these so-called people that's supposed to be representing us, and they're the one getting advancements and you're not. I mean, what do you think is going to happen eventually? I mean, it's sad that I think that we're going to all get caught. I'm not going to be caught off guard. I mean, I'm not. And what I've done is enough to let it be known. I talked about the various people that is still trying to get us. You know, I've never missed in my assertion of who's doing what. I haven't missed at all on nobody. So let me, of course, Dr. Ericana, she got awarded for some type of contemporary Ya Asatiwa. Yeah, her big Lord, I'm so tired of this woman. She's everywhere in Pan-African spaces. They're like her God. Like she's the God of these clowns. They don't even know. I'm the only one that knows. It's so sad. I'm like, God dang. You know, back a long time ago, we used to have all our specific gifts like discerning spirit or prayer spirit or healing spirit, or, you know, we had this miraculous type Hercules type of strength, and people were mighty speakers, and we got things popping. Now all of a sudden, nobody knows nothing, nobody sees nothing, nobody hears nothing, nobody knows a goddamn thing. And it's like, what the fuck happened to where this power that I know is in us is gone? Because people are being fed off the hog by being silly. That's what happened. You can make a whole lot of money. Just imagine Manosphere, how much money O'Shea makes being a fool, joking around and tricking about, then talking about Pan-African, putting on different hats. He's a trick this day, Pan-African this day, and a jokester this day. Like, you know, got all his bases covered. He got money galore. Think about Phil Scott, the Diaspora channel, over 1 million subscriptions. He don't do not a damn thing, not one time a year to raise money for a project for something, and no one's calling that bitch out. Like, what are we? Oh, God have mercy. I don't believe that people should stay high and mighty for long if they're not doing what the platform calls for. If I had 1 million people, I definitely would raise money to help out different things. Once a month, they could take a lottery and a choice of the city, or just a lottery. Just put your hand in there. Whatever I pull out, show me what's going on over there with proof of video and this and that and the other. Have my subscribers submit $1, $5, and showcase what you've done with a receipt. But they don't do it. They hoard all the money, all the recognition, and then spewing this rhetoric of return to Africa, the agenda, as they become rich and they get their reparations by influencing us to stay dumbed down and stupid and not say a goddamn thing about nothing. It is so. I mean, even you complain about a doctor that doesn't provide you the right remedy for stuff. We don't complain about shit. We'll just talk shit about somebody and do it moving. Umar Johnson, over 10 years acting a fool. Why is that motherfucker not in Ghana, forced to go, like embarrassed to go? Like, we talk so much shit about him. Wherever he goes, he heckled and thrown tomatoes at and onions at, to where he got to get on that plane and go to Ghana. We don't do that. Like, I wish we had that in us, to be heckling these motherfuckers, throwing like raw onions at them, at their faces, tomatoes, you know, nothing like to death or nothing, but like if you had 10 people pelting you with tomatoes and onions, wouldn't you feel some kind of way about showing up lying? We don't even do that. Everybody has access to keep lying and hustling us like we are the cow of fools, the money cow of fools, and I'm so sick of it. I'm like, am I in the Twilight Zone or what? Someone wake me the fuck up. I'm sick of this dream.
Oh, shoot.
I'm sick of this dream. And I feel like I'm the smartest one that's walked around in a long damn time. And I don't like feeling that way. I want hundreds of us to be smarter than me. Where are y'all at?
Somewhere doing fuckery.
Oh my God. Listen to these people right here. Now, this is the Diaspora Network television. These two are Ghanaians who are living in the United States, bragging about how powerful their Ghana Diaspora Pact is. So they are even referencing us because, or, you know, they may mention on that later, but it's a long interview. I just want you to hear how they're talking, though.
They're able to get funding for special initiatives and projects.
Okay, let me rewind that just a little bit. They're able to get money and funding, but we ain't. Listen to this.
Is the importance of stakeholder engagement. I mean, it's critical. You know, oftentimes when our lawmakers are making decisions they take into consideration the business community and then the stakeholders, right? That's who they go to get information, to check the pulse of the community. And we want to make sure that our voices are heard on these issues, especially those that impact us. We don't want things as Ghanaians to just happen to us. So we want to be influential and say, this is what's important to our community. These are our needs. And then just as a side, you think about some of the communities that have community recreation centers. They're able to get funding for special initiatives and projects where they're highly densely populated in certain communities. And it's like, well, our numbers are equal in this part of the country. Why don't we have a community center? Or why didn't we have, healthcare centers coming to administer vaccination shots for our people at our church and things like that? But if we're not a part of the table, they won't just think about us, right? So Jay is also using our power and our voice to ensure that we, as taxpaying citizens, we as people in this country that contribute to all sectors from business, healthcare, that our people are getting a slice of the pie. So it's not just, oh, you're a lawyer, a doctor, you're comfortable in your corner, but all the working people deserve equal opportunity and access to benefits that this country offers. And that's also a huge part of what drives the engagement from the young.
Why don't we feel this confident? Why don't we feel this way? Because we don't have proper representation. They come in out the gate with organized PACs, and they're speaking on our behalf behind our backs while getting money and assisted right now as we speak.
In our organization, because they also see like, wow, this community of people gets X, Y, and Z, and I might be good and I might be educated, but what about my family members that are coming here, or people that may not be as highly educated? Should they suffer because they're not aware? No, we have to make sure that our people are aware of everything.
You guys are the mouthpiece of that. Okay.
Let this DIY mouthwash swish in your mouth to rebuild your gums overnight and never step foot in a dentist's office again. Over 138,000 people have fixed their receding gums, weak teeth, and bad breath with this simple mouthwash trick.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Seconds every night in bed, and it works no matter.
You get on my nerves with that. Oh my God! Come on. Let me fast forward a little bit.
Trying for citizenship. We have to process.
Hold on. Let me run it a little bit.
Alone and children of Ghanaians, not to say about those who just immigrated here. You are a Ghanaian. That is alone an education process that we have to engage in, and I give respect to those who have been doing that work all along in regards to ROPA. So what people don't understand is that we have a different pathway. That means we're not applying for dual citizenship. We have to process our dual citizenship. But that is one. Then we know what the research says, that in addition to the 5 billion you mentioned of financial remittances, Ghanaians in the diaspora are more likely to engage in social remittances, particularly those in second and third generation. And so that means we're coming to Ghana, we're coming home to either do pro bono medical work and medical mission.
Absolutely.
We are sometimes doing pro bono education, right, and teaching in schools. We are engaged in slightly different ways. And so sometimes, so everyone knows, we've all experienced those challenges of when we try to go home, even when we're doing charitable work, to either get the licensing.
They do charitable work, but they don't do charitable work for Black Americans. So why are they asking us for charity? Why are they asking us to give them money, time, and sacrifice and gambling? But they got charitable works to work out with, but it's all for their people, and it always will be for their people and never us, because we're not their people. And it's so sad because the evidence is blatantly clear, it's brightly in your face, and no one's ever came to no neighborhood where crimes are or poverty's at and said, oh, Black Americans, we want to bless your community with $10,000-$20,000 to help clean it up and give, you know, baby moms a little bit of help, or fathers down on their luck like an extra $3,000 just because we were thinking of you. None of that stuff is happening, but they want us to treat them like that. And we don't even have the luxury of treating anyone like that because we ain't got it like that. Yeah, you have celebrities. They can live 2-3 different types of lives. They can go whatever they want to do and do whatever, how they want to. They can retire and live off of their monies forever as long. But speaking to us as if we got it like that because they show up and get these citizenships and promote this and that and the other, somehow we're dumb enough to be impressed. I feel like we should be tired of jokes. We should be tired of being, what's the word, pandered to. We should feel disrespected with being bypassed. We have all these immigrants over here that's getting money to aid them in housing while we're getting kicked out on our ear and becoming homeless. But that's the way they want it. They want to squeeze us out and make us be so helpless that when they say Africa, you say, where's the plane? I'm on my way. Me and we all gonna go. The motherland's calling. Oh, you got $1,000, $2,000 to get me started. Okay. I mean, that's how they want us, so to the point where we have nothing, that anything they say we're supposed to just jump and say how high. And that's exactly what I'm seeing is happening. And the people that have the opportunity to really affect, you know, the vast majority on YouTube is not saying a word because they don't want to rock the boat. Just think about all the different people that have these agendas. They're paying you to shut the fuck up and just stay in your lane. That's the way it's going. Stay in your lane. Just be about beefs. Talk about the gender war. Debate about religion and your identity, and everything's going to be everything. But don't you dare. Don't you ever talk against the motherland. That's why I'll never get paid. I'll never get my channel really recognized because it's just too potent on what I say and how I'm talking. And, you know, just think about how hard I worked. 536 videos and barely 500 subscribers. I obviously didn't do it for subscriptions. I did it for the opportunity for one of those videos to leak to someone, to put that mustard seed in their spirit about what's coming. That's why I did it. So it's unfortunate that that channel's gone. I mean, I had some classics on there. I sold so much shit.
Yeah, you did. You had a lot of good videos on there.
Oh, I did. Yeah. You know, it's so hard because I could not even appeal to get my channel back because my email was down. It's been down once it got hacked. Once my phone got hacked, I was out of commission since the last 4 years. I was unable to access my own damn email. I could not even complain about the strike of my channel being taken down because the reply was sent back to sender and told that you don't have a recognizable email, even with your appeal. That's how bad it went. So yeah, but that's what you need. I felt like in my mind at the time, I'm saying I know the truth because I've been here watching all this shit. Maybe I can pretend like I'm 10 people and maybe 1 or 2 of these videos, I know people are not readily, you know, showing up in the comment section. I mean, I was getting people to start participating in the lives, but most people were just, you know, ear hustling. And they did not want them to be shown watching my shit. And, you know, being truthful as I am, you know, I'm not trying to harm nobody, but I don't want us harmed. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with me speaking up for us because no one else is doing so. I think that this is a job for a man to do that really is in tune with reality. But most of these people are bendable. Look at all these men wearing all these skirts and dresses and shit and makeup. I mean, they're gone. Most of these motherfuckers are gone. Sad. Sometimes I wish I could cry, man, about this shit. And it's just, I can't cry. I'm just so angry and tired. But if anybody has any questions, I'd be willing to take one. If you want to open the platform up, you can. Just, I ask if you do come up, if she does open it up, just be respectful. Just talk on what I talked about, what I showcased. If you just want to attack me and say I hate Africans and all that bullshit, we're going to get you up out of here, because that's not about hate. It's about the people in power are targeting Black Americans for debt slavery. One way or the other, they want you to be involved with databases, giving up information, and whatever happens, happens after that. And I don't think they earned that type of treatment to do to us. I just don't think that they should ever get that. And if they can't respect us, we should bypass them. We should boycott going. There's so many other places that's not doing that yet, but they dream of making all of Africa like that. But they're starting in West Africa right now. So I suggest, if you want to steer clear of that, if you want to have to travel to Africa, I would hope that it be East or South Africa. I would, if I was you, avoid West Africa right now, especially Ghana. But eventually, if they have it their way and they find successes in Ghana, it's going to spread like wildfire everywhere else. But are you going to be that guinea pig to see how it works out? I'm not. I hope that anyone that I know will never. That's all I'm talking about. I got to save the ones that care about themselves first.
It's kind of hard to get people to listen to positive message, something that's actually really going on in the world that could be detrimental to our people, because they're so busy and so invested in fuckery. They don't see things forthcoming. And it can be sad, at times, but I always say you can do both. You can, if fuckery is your thing, let that be secondary but not necessary. You understand? So if they can get that intact, it'll be okay. But you got to put what's most important first.
Okay. I want someone just mentioned in the chat, GK, about, I want you to hear that one guy that was made a king, or not king, a chief. I told you that one dude who was Ottawa Coin, he was promoted by Dr. Ericana about 10 months ago, and he just got his little chieftain name. I'm looking at him. I said, this the same raggedy motherfucker. Lord have mercy. Let me find it. But yeah, they're making up all these different chiefs to basically have an agenda to try to wrangle us to do whatever they fucking want us to do. And one being, they want us to be a part of cryptocurrency. They want, again, to get rid of our access of the Western system. And they're trying to say, we can't ever come up if you don't join in and help support us in our endeavor to start a new system. But again, you're risking it all for what they just want you to believe in. And there's no guarantees that you're going to be left unscathed. I just don't feel like they should have access for you to, well, why would you let somebody have access to your damn banking information? I'm just saying. Like, and they've been known to scam. I mean, $100 million is missing already from their petroleum. I mean, what else do you need to hear?
Yeah.
Okay, so listen to this stuff. You see them dancing and carrying on. If you want to, can you show or share your screen one time?
No, because I told you I haven't learned.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to let you hear it. Of course, they got the drums and they got their dresses on, whatever it's called. But listen. And the first person you see is that clown, just to let you know. A Nigerian Ghana chief. That's a new one.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for checking me out. My name is Eko Simpson. I'm a Ghanaian and I live in Ghana. Well, you are watching this channel because somebody introduced you to it, was recommended or suggested to you on YouTube. Basically, my YouTube channel is to connect Africans in the motherland to Africans in the diaspora. Hey, what's good, family? How is everybody doing? My name is Eko Simpson. If this is your first time,
by the way, fair use of all videos for educational purposes and for personal usage for fair use under copyright disclaimer 1976. And again, I'll put in your description, or you can, or the comment section, how it's supposed to be read out. But I'm just putting that out right now while I'm remembering.
Something beautiful happened. And by kind courtesy of Obukese University of Excellence and Obukese Foundation, about 200 to 300 brothers and sisters from the diaspora flew all the way to Ghana, to Central region, my region, and then to Cape Coast, and then down south to Maori community. I've already shown you some beautiful videos, content from Maori.
Now it reads that 4 others were crowned as chiefs. Over 200 so-called African Americans renamed. Let me fast forward a little bit.
Of Cape Coast, they brought about 200 to 300 African diaspora to Ghana. Yes, and they came here to organize educational events, you know, to talk to the students. They also did some artworks and all that. But at the end of the day, brothers and sisters had to be renamed. Yes, I know some of you say, drop that thing, but hey, if we are looking at connecting with our brothers,
ain't nobody renaming shit. What the fuck you mean? Now, listen to this.
Your name and determine what vibration is associated with that name.
Here's one of the chief. He must be the chief of rename, or rename yourself. But here he is, a black American, as light as fuck, look like he's lily, biracial, talking this shit.
And all these people here are family representatives of those names. So you're not just receiving a name today. The family members that are in that family are here today to try to greet you. But of course, we know.
Who fucking cares? I'm hoping that they're going to talk about the kings. Hold on. So yeah, they're being renamed. They I guess they just showcased the 4 that was crowned as chiefs. That's what they showed in the beginning of the video, if you could have seen it. And that guy I told you about, the one that's over the Adua coins, is the he was one of the leader people in line, talking about he made him a chief. But a Nigerian actually was crowned chief for cryptocurrency in Ghana. I cannot make this shit up. My God. Whew. They're on a mission, though. They on a mission. Any questions?
You're so crazy. We're gonna end it soon though, because we've been
okay.
Up a little after.
Okay. If they have any questions, that would be great, or we can do a part 2 another time. Maybe next week or 2 weeks from now, whatever's good for you. My agenda, though, and coming up, is to alert those that may not know what Ghana has in store for you. I do not hate no Africans. I don't hate the Ghanaian people, but I don't think that we should be risking our information and our right to choose our destiny, seeing how they're trying to capture your information and cause you to have to get cards and stuff like that to even tour. I don't think that anyone should have the right to wrangle you like that. I don't think anyone should have the right to pimp you like that. And I think that we should support one another, and at least giving the information out that if you want to trust these people and you feel like they're your people, and giving up your personal banking information is no big deal to you, then have at it. But the ones that might feel funny about that, you might want to rethink about the possibility of that happening. Not if it's not happening right now, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
Mm-hmm. So I really appreciate you having me on. If you had any questions, you can ask me yourself. You was just listening to everything. I dropped as much as I could. I think I was very thorough in everything that I showcased, and hopefully people will realize that we're lined up to be licks, and everybody is circling us like vultures, and other people are pretending to have our proper representation. They don't. We just simply have hashtag names on social media only. There is no lawyer. There is no legislation. There is no pact. And we got big problems not having all that stuff in play. So you have this people coming here pretending to do apology so that they can pretend to want to represent us, so that they hope to steal from us our reparations, everything connected to us. So what I've done is I submitted a letter a year ago speaking on Ghana, literally. I spoke about the president. I spoke about Dr. Ericana. I spoke about the finance minister, and I talked about Pan-Africans. And I talked about the fact that the first time that really irked me about him, this president, is that he said, if you're a black man, you're African. If you're black skin or considered black, you're African. And you don't have nothing to do with me like that. You know, I'm not having you claim me like that, like I'm your damn bitch. What the fuck? I'm not. I'm not your goddamn property. I'm not your goddamn hoe. Keep your fucking hands and eyes off of me, bitch.
I knew it would lie. I knew it was going to come out sooner or later.
I was trying to be cordial, but now I'm getting a little bit upset. Keep your beady-eyed bitch ass away from me, motherfucker, and mine. The fuck? Talking about if you black skin, you're African. We're bounded together to come what may. We gonna survive or fail together. Bitch, you gonna fail and survive by your goddamn self. Shit. You ain't include me in that goddamn shit. The fuck you talking about? You way over there. You better gather your Ghanaians, the one that has that pack, and tell them they need to come and contribute and do all that. But they're not talking about them. They talking about you. We, us. Americans are the ones that are not colonized. We're the ones with the rights, right? Even though we're not being represented to get all our rights. We're not being represented to get all our justices. But we have what most don't have, and it's the option to be freed from different systems that Africans flee from to become an American like we already are. And they're unfortunately tricking you to believe Wakanda over there is your reality, and it's not. And they come here in your stead and replace your ass. And then you're going to be confused 3-4 years later when you have nothing to show for it because you gave it all up for Wakanda movie. Y'all better wake the fuck up. That's all I say. Wake your asses up. Stop playing with your life like that, listening to these clowns.
Oh, shoot. I'm silly, y'all.
I'm saying black is a governmental name given. Let me just put it out there like this. If a transgendered with stuff swinging in the air when they jump around is still attached to their body, can have a new identity that's not what they go in the shower with or without surgery on, damn it, I'm going to self-identify my goddamn self, and we will go to court with that damn argument right there. Right there. You got all this legislation. I'm every woman. Not here in my world. You're not. Okay? But they can say you are. And laws are saying they are. I'm not having a law tell me I'm a fucking African. I'm sorry, no offense, but I'm an American. Stop playing with us. Stop it. That's all. I might have been in a little bit too much, but hey, I was kind of tense up at the end. I had to let some steam out. Oh, I tried to hold as best I could, but I hope that you guys
you did good considering how it really could have turned out. They just don't know, man. They just don't know how you.
I wanted to give a proper presentation before it got left or whatever, but I did say as much as I think humanly possible. You gave enough time for me to really put it out there, and it's about the government. It has nothing to do with the people. I feel sorry for them, but I don't want to partake in what is coming. I don't need to join in the festivities of what they have in plan. I'm sorry. I'm not the diaspora. I'm an American. Diaspora was remixed and translated into something new. They pimped it in the 70s and trying to make that mainstream now. That's why you always hear them talking about the diaspora, African-American diaspora, pan-africanism, diaspora, you African, black skin, we're all black again, we're all one. Bitch, you a lie. Go convince that transgender that what's in their brain is off-putting. Like, think about this. Why are the Pan-Africans not mad about transgender, though? But they mad about us and our identity as being American. They mad about that. They ain't mad about the transgender because they want us. They want us. They want us. Okay, that's all I got to say. Thank you so much for having me on. I really hope that someone out there is going to get the memo. And could you guys please subscribe to my channel.
You can't put your channel in the comment section?
I did earlier. Is this still going to be shown as far as the playback?
Put it in there. Put it in there.
I'm on the wrong phone though. I'm on this phone with you.
If you put it in there, yeah, it'll be in the playback.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if my phone charged up a little bit. That's the one that died. If it's a little bit, I'll hurry up and come on and put my name in. But I would really hope that somebody out there would want to subscribe and follow me. I have mustard seeds. Let me at least, and I have this one too also. Let me
what it is so I can type it in then.
I'm gonna speak on one of my channels. This one I don't use that much. You can see my picture and all. Here I am. And I'm gonna grab the other phone real quick. It should be enough for me to at least put one comment in, I hope. Hold on.
Meanwhile, while she do that, I want to thank everybody for coming. My twin sister, Ra7 Ghali, thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for being my twin. You're a wonderful person. I would like to thank GK for stopping by. Thank you so much.
Yeah, he's a real one. He really is an advocate for everything pertaining to Black Americans. I've seen him a few other spaces and whatnot. There's some people that's really about it. It's just unfortunate that this delusion, I think, about ADOS and FBA is not real, especially when you have people that are operating, like I said, in packs with lawyers, and they're rubbing elbows with lobbyists and talking to Biden and his administration, people that's going to be, again, this apology is not going to go without them trying to use that to advance themselves and what they want. They didn't just do this because they feel teary-eyed and really sorry about anything. It's just for play, for them to be able to make the excuse that we're unifying, and we're not. That's why it's not. That's why it's not showcased and broadcasted on mainstream, because they know that that shit ain't gonna fly. But they're still trying to go through the motions as if we all on board. Hold on, this apology happened. We're all in this together. See how we came collectively to apologize to y'all, but nobody's seen the apology. I mean, you had to link up with a Zoom call to see this apology. How sorry are you if you have to go through all these changes to see it? I mean, do you buy the notion that they're sorry if they're not even broadcasting their apology?
It's not a real apology.
It's crazy to me. But they did the global citizen concert with Dumb UK. I mean, not Dumb UK, but Dumb Usher. And like I said, they're going to be all over the place coming up. It's going to be annoying. I'll keep providing those videos to showcase how reckless and full of bullshit they're on. They're all on. And like I said, that Pan-African card, you heard the woman say, that's coming. She didn't say when. She just said, we're working on it. That's what she said. We're working on it. So everybody, there's my 4 Black Righteous Folks home. The phone I was just on, that's my main channel now. I'm just starting out. I only got 15 subscribers. I hope to get more. I have some looky-loos. I have a lot of haters that really don't like me. They don't want me in the spaces of Africans and Pan-Africans because they feel like I'm going against them. I'm not going against them. I'm going against the government of Ghana. And if people don't get that, I don't know what else to tell them. I'm going against a thug, rogue government of Ghana and any other Pan-African that thinks that we are up for grabs to be scammed. I'm going against all of y'all. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. I'm not taking no prisoners with me. I'm not attacking other Africans that have nothing to do with this agenda. It's primarily from Western Africa, and it involves Pan-Africans from Ghana to Nigeria to Senegal to Gambia to and also UK. It's all a global phenomenon. These different cells of people that are African or Caribbean that are living abroad all over the place are in cahoots with this Pan-African notion to basically allow us not to be no more. They don't want us to claim an ethnicity separate from them. And that's why ADOS and FBA expose the mindset of Pan-Africanism. If anything, at least expose that much. The notion of us calling ourselves our own name infuriated these people because they want to be able to name us. How dare we just step out away from them having the opportunity to name us first? You see what I'm saying? So it did reveal their underseated idea of us staying as is, for them to just run up on us and be like, all you African Americans are our property and our business, and your money is tied to us, and we're going to tax you now. We're going to do this to you now. I feel like you guys should really write to the Black Caucus and call them, do a declaration of your own identity. I've done it already. I did mine in April. I went to a post office. I signed. I could actually read it to you. I'm not going to say my name, but I'm going to say what I said. I said, to whom it may be concerned, and I used 4 Black Righteous Folks Home, status on birth certificate as Black American, which I will give an official legal name on upcoming documents for notary or other governmental notices to alert the government of America, and that all others for the purpose of my declaration of identity. You don't have to word it like I did. I'm just giving you an example. I say my name. I declare under God, perjury, the world presiding over law, and natural rights as a human being of the United States of America. I choose to self-identify myself as Indigenous, Aboriginal citizen of the United States of America and not Africa or any of its jurisdiction. I reject any person or group who chose to identify themselves African, Hebrew Israelite, Nation of Islam, or any other nation or status. I have not chosen myself. I intend to self-identify myself as what is written. I have witnessed 3 years, approximately, various belief systems exhibited on social media contrary to my own belief. I said, I give no extension of their belief to somehow attach itself to mine. I said, I strongly reject and bar any belief system someone else believes to be applied to my status nor identity. I choose solely to classify myself as Aboriginal, Indigenous to America, and never ever African. I give absolutely no allegiance to Africa for any financial liability nor any connection whatsoever. I was a ward of the court and placed into mommy's children's home, and after went to foster homes in Ohio. That system was harsh and caused problems I still endure to this day. I reserve the right to select the system of my choice or nation for status of identification. I wish not to block anyone's right to choose their identity, and I firmly intend to choose also my own identity. I reject all Pan-Africans petitions or any other document claiming to include African American for legislation or tamperings of the Constitution. That name of African American was applied to me without my consent. I said, researching of America, I have discovered that slaves of America were indigenous Black Indians mostly, and not millions of Africans as claimed through movies and propaganda. I named my father, and I named the fact that my heritage is of American descent. I have no acknowledgement of any African identity. Even after research to find one family member from Africa, what is known is the indigenous blood of America, soil, and not an immigrant. My ancestors built America, struggled through America, lost or our original identity due to Walker Plecker and other laws resulting in systematic injustices imposed on my peoples, stripping them of their true identity. I intend to restore this lost truth due to being placed in the war. You get my point. The point is, you have got to give a declaration to make it harder. And what I did is I went to the post office with my official name, which is Indigenous Black American. I kind of like ponder what would be a good name for me. I didn't want to get away from the Black term because that still connects to my family through the government records that I will trace back. But I figured Indigenous would probably be more appropriate because the origins of America is we can find our family here when America was built. And that's what's important to me. All this other talk about you had one ancestor that went through this. Well, you put them there in that predicament. So why are you talking to me as if I did it to them? I mean, what the fuck's going on here? I'm not allowing people to craft a narrative that's not befitting to me honoring my own people here in America. I'm not going to go try to pretend Wakanda is relevant, and I'm not going to try to adopt an African that's not relevant to me. So I respect people. I could be friendly with people, but I'm not going to change my identity for nobody. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. So thank you all for appearing. If you could, I don't want to hold her up no more because my dog has to go outside too. Please like and share the video. I hope that you will do so. Please to keep up. I will be taking a break after my next interview will be with Chocolate Siren. So if you guys can go to Chocolate Siren as well, we'll probably have an interview tomorrow. I think that she wants to talk about that the guy that killed all those black men, Dahmer. Is that his name? Jeffrey Dahmer?
Oh.
We're gonna go live tomorrow on that topic, and then she's gonna do an interview with me about this stuff here too, probably a week after that. So just keep in mind, I will be taking a break because my birthday month just started today. So thank you all for appearing. I greatly appreciate you. Please support my sister by liking her subscription and subscribing to her channel, and also liking this video. And also come to my channel. I'm starting all over again, so I'm kind of working through the kinks of not being able to go live long because I can't go live at all. Actually, I have to upload a video, and they're only allowing me 40 minutes or so to go, sometimes half an hour. So it's kind of choppy right now, but I'll get a system in play once I get my subscriptions back. And if you guys can support that, I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you all, and bless you, sister. Thank you for having me on. I greatly appreciate you.
Thank you, sister. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you. You already know we talk a lot anyway, so so we keep in touch regardless. And y'all, please don't forget to subscribe to my sister. Listen, y'all need to subscribe to my sister because she gives y'all good information. And I'm telling y'all gonna need to stay on top of what's going on. Trust me, it's going to benefit you and your family and your friends in the long run. I know we like fuck shit, like I said earlier, but you got to put what's most important first. And then if you want to go to fuck shit or whatever, then you can do that. But you got to do what's most important first. Education and educating yourself and getting good information should come first in your life.
Now, just let y'all know, the last 2 videos that I did was pertaining to me reading what I wrote to the Black Caucus and a attorney general by the name of, what's his last name? Man, don't get me to lie. He's from Ohio, though. I wrote him. I wrote the Black Caucus. I wrote Sheila Lee. I wrote Joyce. I forgot her last name, but she's the head over the Black Caucus. And the reason why I didn't stop there because I don't think that they really are going to pay me any mind. So I called a attorney general to also have him file what I talked about, which was Ghana. I primarily went in on Ghana and Dr. Eric Khan, pretty much. So everything I'm talking about right now, I kind of felt that way over a year ago, and I didn't want to just sit back and still be stewing in anger. So I had to write a letter, and I got it certified at the post office. Whenever you write them, you get 10 copies. You get the post office to give you a certified receipt. so that you can keep it in your file, and you build a file so that in case they make a law claiming us, we can say, no, 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 no. I saw this coming. I'm not in agreement like I did. They can't just say you're African because I have already declared. And like I said, my case will be against the fact that this government is sprucing up transgender people over Black Americans' identity. No, you're not going to give them a brand new identity and tell me I can't have my own. You're not doing that to me. That's my argument right there. If you can give these transgender an identity, you can respect mine. And that's the attitude that you need to have. Yes, Joyce Beatty. You need to have that same attitude, Black Americans, because they're telling us we can't choose our identity. They're going to tell us what we're going to be. If you black skin, you African, bitch, fuck out of here. Use a goddamn lie. That's the government issuing me black. I didn't call myself black. The government did. So fuck you and what you going through. That's what I got to say.
Well, she said.
So thank you all, because I know I gotta go. My dog's looking at me like, come on now. You've been holding me out for a long time. I'm hungry and everything. Thank you. I'm gonna go. Thank you.
All right, sis.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Take care. All right. So like I said, thank you everybody for coming. Some of you already said, thank you so much, my sister, my beautiful, sexy little sister, Chocolate. I love you to pieces. You already know. Thank you to my two brothers, Michael Echeverria. He's going to get me because I said it wrong probably, but I love you, Michael. Thank you to my little brother, Oscar the Wiseman, a.k.a. Problematic. Thank you for stopping by, showing support. I appreciate it. Am I missing? Somali, thank you so much for stopping through. I appreciate it. Tyrone Church, thank you so much. Bullis Gotti, thank you so much. My brother Quentin Emerson, thank you so much. And of course, my brother Hanlon Jones, my longtime brother. Love you so much. Okay, so thank you, everybody. And I want everybody to be safe and have a great night. Peace. And I'm out.